in the 105-year history of this event had someone like me.
Because you're a mentalist, as you're described.
Yep.
How do you describe that to other people?
So mentalism is a form of magic. I am not a psychic, I'm not a medium, I'm not like supernatural. I know how to observe people in a very different way than most and seem to read their thoughts and read their minds, which I think, given the fact that President Trump will be in the room, is going to be an amazing evening, not to mention all of the VIPs, the dignitaries, the cabinet members, and the journalists who normally they ask the hard-hitting questions. Well, I'm going to find the hard-hitting answers that night.
You get the call to do this. What was your reaction when you got that call?
So I was shocked, which is hard to surprise somebody who shocks other people for a living. I thought I was being pranked at first. Because I always thought I was a comedian. I thought it's just comedians that do this. So at first I thought, what's going on here? But then as I kind of navigated the waters and understood, the point this year was to get President Trump to come. And I think that is the reason they did something different. Because this year they wanted to avoid the lane of kind of, I don't want to call it division, but the comedians tend to roast. And that tends to be for some people funny, for other people hurtful. I love it. I love a good comedy show. But I think the reason they got the president this year was doing something different, something splashy, and something very unique, and that's what I'm going to bring to the table.
I suppose you have a method of preparation. Anytime you go before an audience, do you have a different approach this time because of the crowd involved?
So there's two elements to this, if you think about this, is one, in the room. We've got 2,600 people that are watching a live show. But you've also got to think about the people at home who are going to be experiencing it through the TV screens and the next day on the small screens, because that's where millions and hundreds of millions of people see it, the clips online. So I'm thinking of both at the same time of how do we produce a great TV show while also keeping it intimate and amazing for the people in the room. So it's a little bit of a juggling act. And then of course, the moment that counts, if I get a chance with President Trump to get inside his head. And I think that can be something that'll be amazing because he is very, very good at holding his cards close. And I think he's also a showman, if ever there was one, who knows the power of a great headline. And I think we're going to try to do a little bit of both of those things. Do an amazing moment that will unite this country right now when there's been a lot of division.
And he sent some nerves approaching the event.
They haven't hit me yet. You know, there were nerves earlier in the week, but now that I'm here, I liken it to an athlete who gets on the starting line. I just get dialed in, I get ready and excited. So right now, it's not really nervous energy, it's excited energy.
When you did this as a mentalist, you didn't start this way career-wise.
No.
Talk about that track.
Yeah, I went to school for engineering, Pedro, so good luck figuring out this career path. I worked on Wall Street for a few years. I quit to be a magician, and I used to do strolling magic at restaurants, kind of kept advancing and advancing, and I've been doing the mentalism for a little over a decade, full time. Prior to that, more of a magic type of show. And lo and behold, now I'm hosting the White House Correspondents' dinner, so you never know where your career is going to go.
Because at one point you had a corporate job and then it was there you decided, no, this is the path that will give me joy and this is what I want to do with my life.
I think you live one life, and so many people that are watching this and that are watching is you have this hunger for more. And I said to myself, look in the mirror, do I want to be doing this for the next 20 years? And my automatic response to myself, the truth, was I don't think this is what I was born to do. And so I took a leap of faith. A lot of people thought I was crazy because I had a great job. I worked at Merrill Lynch, and they were like, what are you going to be? A mentalist? You know, like, are you mental? And I think I took a bet on myself, and it's worked out really well. And I've always just said one opportunity should lead to two more, and just really harness momentum and do things unique and in a different way than anyone has ever done them before.
I'm sure you won't give us specifics, but what kind of things might we expect when we see you?
So I up the ante. So everyone who's watching this is a skeptic. Naturally, a room full of journalists are the biggest skeptics of all. So what I like to do is I like to use your skepticism against you in a way. Right when you think you figured it out and you go, I think I know how I did it, boom, I do it a different way. And you're left scratching your head, jaws dropped. My goal is to make this a night that when you talk about next year's White House Correspondent, and next year, 5 and 10 years from now, you go, what was the best one we remember? This is one that you're going to be talking about for years to come. That's my goal.
One of the things you do aside from mentalism and what you do, you like to run, and you set records from that. Talk about that.
I just literally, we have a few buddies that are coming. One of the blessings of this is I got to invite a lot of people who get to join me tomorrow and watch me in action. So a few of my running buddies are here, and we literally, 2 seconds ago before I walked up, we're texting, where are we running? Monuments Run, we're going to try to get 15 miles in tomorrow, maybe even more the morning after. I love running. I do marathons and ultra marathons. I ran a marathon 5 days ago.
When you come to prepare, does the running help with the other job, vice versa? How does it help each other?
It really does. My best ideas come to me, a little bit TMI, but in the shower, because I've got no electronics and I'm zoned out, and when I'm running. Those are when I get these creative bursts. My brain hits that little flow state of, oh, I just figured it out. And so for a long time, I've been thinking to myself, what would I do if I could sit down and try to read the mind, get inside the head of the most powerful man in the world? And a lot of those thoughts came to me while running, is how could I do it?
Oz Pearlman, he is the entertainment for this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And you'll see Oz Pearlman perform a little bit later tonight, live on C-SPAN. John McArdle is wrapping up at the red carpet. John, you got anyone else you want to tell us about who's come in?
Yeah, Peter, I've got Triumph, the insult comic dog. As C-SPAN viewers who watch Conan or The Daily Show will know Triumph. Why is Triumph here?
I am covering the red carpet, and I don't mean Jen Psaki. Yes, see, I know, it's C-SPAN. No, I'm covering the red carpet. I've interviewed a lot of the no-names and a few biggies.
Who are the biggies you've interviewed? What do you ask them? What does Triumph want to know?
Oh, my God. Well, I didn't get to Pete Hegseth, but I tried to give him his drink tickets. Do we have the drink tickets? It's okay. We're fine.
What is Triumph expecting from the president's appearance tonight?
Oh, well, this is such a special day. You know, I mean, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, an annual gathering of the press that celebrates, or in tonight's case, fondly remembers free speech. It's a beautiful thing, you know, and it's also a night when members of the press sit down for a lavish multi-course dinner served by some of their former colleagues.
Triumph, the insult comic dog, has been here all night on the red carpet. How long are you staying? You going to stay afterwards and catch people on the way out?
Yes, I am. For example, I was trying to, you know, I mostly spoke to people in the conservative media. The liberal media was afraid to talk to me. Isn't that strange? Because it's the Daily Show I'm representing. I was trying to help them with Trump, you know. I was saying, you know, if you don't want to get hit hard by Trump, you can just hold up one of these in front of your face, and then he'll leave you alone, you know?
Triumph, the insult comic dog. We appreciate your time on C-SPAN. Thanks for stopping by. It's your first appearance now in the C-SPAN archives.
Is it really?
It really is.
Okay, all right. Well, it's an honor to be here. C-SPAN is one of the least boring networks on television. For me to poop on!
Peter, that's Triumph, the insult comic dog.
Yes, John, that was, and I simply want to congratulate you on your finale on the red carpet. Final question. I've been to a couple black tie dinners with you. Who tied your tie?
That would be our colleague Nate Hurst, but thanks for that, Peter.
There we go. Okay, I knew somebody had to. All right. John McArdle will be going into the dinner. He'll be sitting with Director of Policy. One of our guests is from J.D. Vance's staff. J.D. Vance and Mrs. Vance will be at the dinner tonight because the trip to Pakistan for the peace talks got canceled. So the President and Mrs. Trump, J.D. Vance and Mrs. Vance will all be at the head table. The President is now departing the White House with Mrs. Trump, you can see. And again, it'll take, in a motorcade, 4 minutes, 5 minutes tops to get up to the Washington Hilton Hotel. It would take you and I much longer to get up there because of traffic. And so he will be arriving at the hotel shortly. They now bring the president at the Washington Hilton in underground because of the 1981 shooting of President Reagan. They developed a new entrance there. It's underground, so you don't see it. And basically, the president will be isolated from that big crowd you saw in the ballroom a few minutes earlier because he will be coming in a back way. Then he will just come right up onto the stage. The dinner is due to begin at 8 p.m. with the presentation of colors, the pomp and circumstance that opens a dinner. That part goes on for about 15 minutes or so. And then they eat. And after that, while they're eating, we're going to have two guests here, the former editor-in-chief of USA Today and Mike Dubke, who was with President Trump in his first term. They will be here on site with us. We'll be discussing the dinner, talking about issues, taking your calls as well. Looks like Kash Patel is in the ballroom itself. Do not know who invited him. Again, you have to be a media organization and a member of the White House Correspondents Association to have a table. And you can invite whomever you want. And of course, celebrities and administration officials and members of Congress, these are the ones that typically get invited. Just a few minutes now before the dinner starts, we'll watch as the president departs the White House to the Washington Hilton. Gregory is in Guyton, Louisiana, Republican line. Thanks for holding, Greg. Please go ahead.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Well, I'm a first generation Republican. I just turned 68 years old Thursday, and I'm looking forward to seeing what our president has to say. I hope he does some joking media jokes that the media would enjoy laughing. And because I was watching on C-SPAN 2 on the recent presidents, and they had some laughs, and I laughed along with them. Now, I just want to say thank you for taking my call, and I really love Donald Trump. He's my president and always will be.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, Gregory, what was playing on C-SPAN 2. We've been playing a lot of the old speeches and from past presidential dinners all day long on American History TV on C-SPAN 2. They'll play again in the overnight, but not during the dinner itself. David, Nashua, New Hampshire, Independent Line. Hi, David.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it. How are you doing tonight?
How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much. My name is David Shunk. I'm from New Hampshire. I'm independent. I've usually voted Republican, but I'm really interested in this dinner tonight. You know, in the past, we've seen kind of a turbulent relationship between the media and President Trump, but I hope he's able to crack a few jokes and put his issues aside and, you know, try to tell some jokes to bring the country together. And I think that'll be a very positive message to not only the press, but for the United States.
Thank you, David, in New Hampshire for calling in. Well, Weijia Zhang of CBS is the president of the White House Correspondents Association. We caught up with her this week to talk about the role of the White House Correspondents Association.
Between the press corps and the White House Correspondents Association has been around for 114 years, and we represent the White House press corps. So the association is the bridge between the press corps and the administration to advocate for the First Amendment and really to advocate for access for our members, because we need to make sure that they have what they need to do their jobs and to be, around the people that they are covering, especially the president, as often as possible, so we can bring that to the American public. I am president of the White House Correspondents Association, so I lead the effort along with an incredible board to make sure, whether you are a video journalist, a photojournalist, a print journalist, a broadcast journalist, whether you have a huge microphone on behalf of radio to make sure the audio sounds perfect. We are fighting for all of our constituencies, the wire services, obviously, because we need to make sure that no matter how an American is consuming the news, they can do that with access to the White House, with an understanding of what's happening in their name. One thing that I've noticed across the administrations I've covered is whether it's 6 in the morning or 9 o'clock at night, the White House press corps is here and White House officials are here when there's a big story. And so I don't think people realize how closely we do work with the White House to make sure, that we are covering the president's agenda, whatever impacts the public, and that they are answering questions that we have on behalf of the public. And so the relationship is an important one. And yes, it can be complicated, it can be tense, but it is robust. And I think that's important for the American public to understand that, things that you never see, this back and forth, this tension, that's a sign that things are working the way they're supposed to. And so I think, the relationship between the press and the White House is so critical to ensure that we can excavate as much information as possible for people at home to make informed decisions.
And that was Weijia Zhang of CBS, the president this year of the White House Correspondents Association. She will be stepping down after this. It's a yearly post, and so she is the person that you will see quite a bit of tonight when the speeches and the awards begin. As you can see, this is the ballroom of the Washington Hilton, and there goes Mark Wayne Mullen, former senator from Oklahoma, now the Homeland Security Secretary. And there are, believe it or not, there are tables in between all those people that you see, and there are 10 chairs at each table, and people are just packed in there. It's a fun environment, but if you don't like crowds, it would be a tough place to be. The dinner should begin in just a minute. You can see up there on the stage the Marine Corps, the president's own band beginning to play, welcoming music, and they will have a part in tonight's festivities as well. But we're waiting for the presentation of colors, the pledge, the opening of the dinner, and then trying to get everybody seated and to start eating. In the meantime, we're going to continue to hear your voices. And this is Dave in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Hi, Dave.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for taking my call. I just want to say the White House Correspondents' Dinner is a fabulous event. I've been watching it for a long time. And I think President Trump has been disgraceful on how he has treated the press. It's like his lips are moving, he's lying. I think he's an authoritarian threat to our freedom of the press and free speech.
Are you going to be watching? Will you watch his speech tonight?
I positively will be watching the whole thing. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but he's a tough one. Right. But thanks again for taking my call.
Thanks, Dave, in West Bloomfield, Michigan. This is Jake in Kissimmee, Florida, Republican. Hi, Jake. Jake, you with us?
Good evening. Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Please go ahead.
Just saying, so looking forward to seeing President Trump attend the dinner. And while he's not a journalist, I believe he, for so many millions of us, embodies many of the principles of journalism: courage, dedication, and relentless pursuit of the truth in the face of adversity. So I just think it's fitting, appropriate that he'll be at the dinner.
And Mike Lawler, Republican of New York, member of Congress, is there. He's been invited to the dinner as well by a media organization. And Mr. Lawler may have a pretty potentially tight race in 2026 for his re-election effort. His 2024 race was quite close, and it's looking, again, to be quite a close race. Lorraine, Conway, South Carolina, independent line. Hi, Lorraine.
Hello. I used to be a Republican, but I kind of turned my back on the party because I don't feel that they support Trump the way they should. They're just a step above the Democrats. There's too much corruption in Congress, too much insider trading. I think Trump is the only hope for this country. I have 5 grandsons. I want to see them be able to have jobs, to be able to buy homes and raise a family. And I have one who's in the Army, and he's very proud to serve for President Trump.
Thank you, Lorraine. In Conway, South Carolina, Treasury Secretary Andy Besant is there in the center of the screen, as we learned, and with Stephen Miller. We learned that Secretary Besant was invited by the New York Post to sit with them at their table. I do not know who Stephen Miller is sitting with. It could be the same, but don't know. We didn't find that information out. Next call is Ross in Portland, Maine. Democrat. Hi.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for taking my call. This is Ross from Portland, a very proud Democrat, and quite frankly, disgraced by how Donald Trump treats the press, by calling them fake news, by not taking women's calls. It is a disgrace we have going on in this country.
So, Ross, that all said, will you watch the speech?
100%. I like one of your earlier callers, I heard Michael McConnell earlier today say he hopes he'd be self-deprecating, but the reality is he cannot take a punch. And it's sad, but I've been watching since I was probably in my teens, and I'm 66 years old, and I look forward to this evening every year. And it's disgraceful that he hasn't done it. This is the first time in his 2 presidencies he's done it, and I'm up to see. I'm keeping an open mind. Put you that way. How about that?
Thank you, sir. There is Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard on your right in the black dress, and that is Erica Kirk, who is also at the dinner this evening. The blonde. Steve, Houston, Texas, Republican. Steve, you with us?
Good afternoon. I'm excited to hear what President Trump has to say tonight at the Correspondents' dinner. I am 61, almost 62 years old. I have been voting since I was 18 years old. And I can say that I have never voted for a Democrat. Even if there was one person on the ballot that was a Democrat, I would never vote for them. I am a combat veteran, and I'm excited to hear what President Trump has to say tonight.
Okay. Hey, Steve, since you're calling from Texas very quickly, you voting for Ken Paxton or John Cornyn in the Senate down there?
John Cornyn.
Thank you, sir, for calling in. We appreciate it. Well, we've learned that the travel pool has arrived. That is the pool of reporters that travel with the president, come rain or come shine, 24/7, wherever the president goes. And this again goes back to 1981 and the Reagan shooting when they did not have the press, the traveling press there. And they have arrived. So that means that the president has arrived as well. The pomp and circumstance opening of the dinner should begin in just a few minutes. And we're looking at live pictures from the Washington Hilton Ballroom. Seating capacity 2,000, but I'll bet you there's 5,000 people in there. Skip, Waldorf, Maryland, Independent Line. Go ahead, Skip.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. As a Navy veteran and a former member of the Fourth Estate, I've seen this event many, many times. I've actually attended it as a working journalist. And I'm hoping tonight that my colleagues do not wear these pins, because journalists are not supposed to be part of the story. Now, yes, I am offended by the remarks that President Trump has made towards members of the media. I think it's very small of a person that does things like that. And I think that we should, as journalists, rise above that and not, wear these types of pins. We are not supposed to be part of this story.
Hey, Skip, I apologize. You cut out right at the beginning. Have you attended the dinner in the past?
Yes, I have, as a working journalist.
All right. Give us your impressions of the dinner and its import.
Well, the dinner is supposed to be a lighthearted type of affair where members of the Fourth Estate, interact with the President of the United States, and his staff are usually at the different tables as invited guests. And, Trump has always avoided this, or he has avoided it since 2011. And, it should be lighthearted. Now, maybe we'll see a different president tonight.
All right, Skip in Waldorf, Maryland, thanks for calling in. Joe, Marathon, Florida, Democrat. Joe, you're on the air.
Why, thank you. I'm glad that the president has showed up for this event, but only on his terms. I have a 3-point plan for President Trump to truly make America great again.
Hey, tell you what, why don't you just give us the first point, because the dinner could be starting at any second. You see Secretary of War Pete Hegseth there on the floor in the ballroom. Go ahead, Joe, 1 point.
Confess all his sins, moralities.
All right, Joe, we got the point. Thank you, sir. Tommy, Tomball, Texas, Republican, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I appreciate being able to talk about it. I'm just really can't believe the press, the indignance of the press. I'm 70 years old, and I have never seen a president attacked the way the press attacks him. I'm a proud Republican. I've been a Republican all my life, and I just can't get over how they ignore everything else that's going on. I mean, if you look at the stuff with Biden and so forth, they ignored it. He couldn't hardly talk, but yet the press wouldn't investigate it. Anything that Trump slips up on, they jump on and say that we're going to have to impeach him.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, I don't understand it. I can't comprehend it other than the standard phrase Trump derangement syndrome. It's just ridiculous.
Thank you, Tommy from Texas. There, just a minute ago, we saw Secretary Pete Hegseth talking with presidential advisor Stephen Miller. Next call is Barbara calling in from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, independent line. Hi, Barbara. Hey, Barbara, how far from Mar-a-Lago are you in Palm Beach Gardens?
Oh, about a half hour.
A half hour. Okay. All right.
I think.
All right.
I'll be brief. I was taught not to lie, and if I did tell a little lie when I was a child, I better confess and tell the truth. My question, I guess, is, or my comment, as an independent, there is proof in the news that some of what the journalists or the TV journalists have said or that have been denied, have been proven wrong. I'm a little nervous. I don't usually do this. But I was wondering, lots of people are concerned about questioning what will President Trump say. I'd like to know, is any journalist at all going to admit and apologize for the lies that they told? I'm not interested in having anybody do a mea culpa. Just say, we were wrong, we're sorry, and apologize, and go from there. And that's about it.
Barbara, thank you for calling in and voicing your point of view. We're expecting the dinner to start in just a minute. It looks like people are finally getting seated, which means the president's in the House. And in a minute, there will be the presentation of the colors. There'll be the band playing. There'll be the Pledge of Allegiance and a welcoming from Weijia Zhang of CBS. Pamela, Philadelphia, Democrat. Good evening to you.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to let you know that I've been watching your sister station, C-SPAN 2, most of the day. And
aren't those addicting? Once you start,
oh my God, yeah.
I do the same thing, and I've seen them maybe 50 times each. And every time I watch one of those old speeches, I'm just, reminiscing and laughing. It's fun. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, the best ones or the best speeches I think were given by Obama, Bush, and Obama and Bush. Those were the best.
Yeah, they were really
2008.
quite good, weren't they? They were really quite good.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
They were funny, but yet at the end, these gentlemen had the dignity to say, they preserved the First Amendment, freedom of the press, and I'm hoping that Mr. Trump will do the same. Even though he has a hate relationship with the press, that he will at least acknowledge that this is their job. I mean, they go into these war zones and they put their lives on the line, just like our soldiers.
All right, Pamela,
So,
you know what? Next time we air some of those archival White House Correspondents' Dinner speeches, you and I will make some popcorn. We'll sit there on the couch and laugh together. Thank you for calling in. I couldn't agree with you more on them. Well, it looks like the festivities are due to begin here shortly. Let's stop in and see what's going on. They're introducing the head table, and there's Carolyn Levitt, the White House press secretary.
Trevor Honeycutt from Reuters. Courtney Subramanian from Bloomberg News. From Time Magazine, Brian Bennett. And join us in welcoming the president of the White House Correspondents Association from CBS News, Weijia Zhang. The headliner for this evening, mentalist Oz Pearlman. And now please welcome the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the nation's colors presented by the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard, and please remain standing for our national anthem performed by the U.S. Marine Band.
The night.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of the White House Correspondents Association from CBS News, Weijia Zhang.
Welcome. Welcome to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner. Thank you to the President's own Marine Corps Band, led by Drum Major Master Gunnery Sergeant Stephen Williams and vocalist Master Gunnery Sergeant Kevin Benier. Good evening to everyone. President Trump, Madam First Lady, on behalf of the White House Correspondents Association, thank you for being here. It is meaningful that you're with us tonight. And White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, thank you for everything you and your team does to work with us every day, whether you like it or not. I'm biased, but covering the White House is the best assignment in all of journalism. We have the privilege of covering the biggest story in the world every single day. The speed is exhilarating, demanding, and it offers a critical public service. Strong journalism benefits the entire country. Tonight, we will celebrate the exceptional work you have done and toast a group of promising students who want to follow your lead. Of course, at the heart of both of those things is the importance of the First Amendment. I want to take a moment to recognize some important people who helped me tackle this job and who helped make this night possible. First, to the members of the White House Correspondents Association, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to lead. It is an honor and a privilege. Thank you to my advisor in this role, Kelly O'Donnell of NBC News. And to the other past WHCA presidents who have helped me navigate challenges. To my CBS News bosses, Tom Sobrowski, Barry Weiss, Mark Lima, thank you. Thank you for your leadership and support. To the relentless CBS News team, especially the White House unit, I am grateful to call you not just colleagues, but friends. And thanks to the mentors and other friends who have kept me balanced this year and always. And of course, to my family. In a world full of chaos, you are my calm, and I love you. We have a big night ahead, and we're gonna get started now. So enjoy your dinner, and we'll be back. Thank you.
And now the guests at the White House Correspondents' Dinner will eat, and this should last about an hour and 15 minutes. And after that, the program begins. We'll show you the room from time to time throughout the evening until the program begins. But we're pleased now to be joined by Karen Bohan, who is a former editor-in-chief of USA Today, Reuters White House correspondent, and former president of the White House Correspondents Association, doing what Weijia Zhang just did. Karen, President Trump is attending for the first time in his presidencies. Big deal?
It's a big deal. It's controversial. A number of prominent journalists have written a letter to the White House Correspondents Association saying that they should disinvite him or should not have invited him. There's a lot of controversy around the invitation to have him speak because of the way he speaks about the press, because of the limitations that people in his administration, including Pete Hegseth, have put on the press. So, you know, expect there to be a lot of tension tonight.
Mike Dubke, former White House communications director during the first term. Why didn't the president attend in his first term?
In his first term, I think the president didn't attend because for many of the reasons that you mentioned, that he felt like this was not the place where he wanted to be in his first term, and he didn't want his staff. If you remember in 2017, it wasn't just that the president wasn't there. There was no cabinet secretaries. There was no White House staff.
And that was his directive?
And that was his directive. So none of us went to the dinner, but it was, I think it was part of this, mantra of fake news. And that why would we be, he didn't feel welcomed, number one. And then why would we show a light on this particular dinner when they haven't been welcoming to us? I think that would probably be the main gist.
Did you and do you agree with his assessment?
No, I was, in fact, I was saying in the green room before we came out here, I think I always have been one to face these things head on. And, the president generally is too. I mean, Donald Trump is not a shrinking violet, but I would have liked to have him engage. I thought that would be a better place to be. He decided not to.
One of the things that presidents do in this dinner is use self-deprecating humor. Mm-hmm. We want to show you just a little video of past dinners and then get your assessment of whether Donald Trump will do the same thing.
You even tied my recent surgery to my age. Well, I got to be honest with you. I had that same operation when I was young, and it felt so good I wanted to have it done again before I was too early. Larry also said that preparing me for a press conference was like reinventing the wheel. It's not true. I was around when the wheel was invented, and it was easier.
As you all know, when you're president, you don't do anything at the last minute. I had the Secret Service come over here this afternoon and do that usual security sweep before a presidential visit. Place was clean, no broccoli.
I mean, I am not doing so bad. I mean, at this point in his administration, William Henry Harrison had been dead 68 days. I mean, my stimulus package lived longer than that. Jay Leno's here. Now, no matter how mean he is to me, I just love this guy. Because together, we give hope to gray-haired, chunky baby boomers everywhere.
I was going to start off tonight telling some self-deprecating jokes, but then I couldn't think of any mistakes I had made to be self-deprecating about. So I want to talk about some serious issues, such as, okay, here it comes. Nuclear proliferation. Nuclear proliferation. Nuclear proliferation. Nuclear proliferation.
4 years ago, I looked like this. Today, I look like this. And 4 years from now, I will look like this. These days, I look in the mirror and I have to admit, I'm not the strapping young Muslim socialist that I used to be.
I'm really excited to be here tonight with the only group of Americans with a lower approval rating than I have.
So Mike Dubke, all that self-deprecating humor, right. As a former director of communications for the Trump administration, does it work? Is President Trump able or willing?
So, first of all, as any comms person in any administration, having to write humor for your boss is like the hardest, worst possible job one could have. So generally what they do is they farm it out. So you'll have a bunch of comedy writers. I've heard from some of my Democratic counterparts, they'll go to SNL writers and get jokes in. And I know Republicans do the same. So it's not an easy task, one. Secondly, when you're presenting the jokes to the principal and they're making fun of them, you want to make sure that they get the joke too. So that's also hard, bringing the jokes in that are self-deprecating. Now, getting to your question about Donald Trump, I think he's going to tell a lot of jokes tonight. I just don't know that they're going to be about himself. So I think I'm very curious how he handles this at the dinner.
Karen Bohan, the Trump administration currently has a 48% approval rating. There are some issues going on in our country and in the world. Can this dinner be used as a reset in any way? Does that work?
Definitely not a reset. I mean, there is an audience for the dinner, a very big one. People are fascinated by it. I mean, I guess it could be a reset potentially in how he deals with the press, should he want to make it that. Traditionally at the dinner, the president gives his speech, is funny, makes fun of the other party, is self-deprecating at times, and the speech almost always closes with a tribute to the free press, and that is an olive branch. And so, arguably a different tone with the press could come out of this. Do I think it will? No.
Okay, here's the argument on the other side, and we heard this on the red carpet from a lot of Trump administration officials. Hey, every reporter that's in there probably has his number on speed dial, and they can just call him directly, and he picks up the phone and he talks to them. Isn't that a free exchange? And every day he holds a news conference. Anytime he's in the Oval Office, here comes the press. Anything, any question is welcome.
I mean, that is a really interesting aspect of covering him, because the reporters who cover him, people, when I was editor-in-chief of USA Today, people would be like, oh my gosh, it must be so hard for your reporters to cover this administration because he insults the reporters. But, the thing that people don't think about is what reporters want more than anything else is access, and they get direct access to President Trump.
And Weijia Zhang of CBS currently has direct access to President Trump. This is a live picture of the president and Ms. Zhang talking on the dais. When you write a speech for President Trump, where do you start?
Well, you start with whatever the main topic of the speech is. It's like writing a speech for anybody else. You want to make sure that you're covering those issues and the programs that the administration is putting forward, and making sure that you're hitting all of that, all of those notes. But you also know that when you write a speech for Donald Trump, that he's going to go off script. And so when you're working your way through it, you're looking for those spots where he can go back to items that he's comfortable with, that he'll riff on. But the most part, it's like writing a speech for anybody else. You just have to get those pieces in. What I was going to say, just to follow up on your point of access, I always made the argument that President Trump was the most accessible president we've ever had. He doesn't do as many press conferences as others, but he's almost always available on the way to Marine One. He brings the press into the Roosevelt Room, into the Cabinet Room, into the Oval Office, as you mentioned. And that level of accessibility is fantastic. What I heard from reporters was it was also exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Exhausting. And they always had to be prepared. So I did not understand this at the time. I said, well, we're giving you more access than you've ever had before. And they go, yeah, but not the access we want. And I go, what do you mean by that? And they said, we want to go in there with a list of questions that we've prepared and we're ready to go at a press conference. When we get called in at the moment's notice and have to shout over our other reporters and maybe get to ask one, yes, we have access, but we don't have the quality access, I guess, that they were looking for. And that's a difference.
But I would say that those impromptu moments are quality access.
I see it. Just a second. We have an issue here at the head table at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. If we can go to that full screen, it looks like the head table has been evacuated. I saw Oz Pearlman talking with Mr. and Mrs. Trump, and they are evacuating. It looks like they're taking all the security folks out of there at this point. If we could get closer, and it looks like the ballroom, I cannot see if people are still seated at their tables or not there. This is the quietest I've ever seen the dinner. Can we go? We understand that shots were fired here at the dinner. and we'll find out what's going on here shortly. You can see a lot of, here come the Secret Service. Let's go in full screen here. See if we can hear. Karen Bohan, you've been a association president. What is the security? People seem to be walking out relatively calmly. Karen Bohan, you were association president. What is the security considerations like when a president arrives at the Washington Hilton?
Obviously is taken very seriously, and there are meetings way in advance with the White House Correspondents Association, the Secret Service, the hotel staff. There is a lot of planning that is put into an event like this. You've got 2,600 people in that ballroom, not to mention all of the people in the hotel. I was at the venue earlier, and there were protesters outside. There was a security perimeter. In fact, it was tighter security than I've ever seen. I did notice, though, that at least 2 protesters got into the lobby, and that shouldn't have happened.
So Mike Dubke is a former Trump insider. Does the Secret Service have the last word, basically, on any travel?
Basically, on anything that comes around any traveler.
Check 1 2 check.
Absolutely, and they would have worked with the dinner organizers, with the hotel. This is a location in Washington D.C. that's used every year for this event. So this is not a unusual place to hold a high level event with a lot of security.
Everybody, can you hear me okay?
They
Check
use
1
this
2.
ballroom so often.
Check 1 2.
Waiters,
All right.
waitresses,
Listen,
etc.
I walked away.
All have some type of clearance that they can.
I don't know what happened here.
Right before
So
started,
let me find out what's going on.
Talking with Mr. and Mrs.
So give me a few minutes so I could work. I'm going to put it back to full screen.
We're talking about. But
okay.
Now it's been maybe 5 minutes since this shutdown.
I'm going to put it back to full screen.
Is the president back at the White House?
And let me find out what's going on.
Knowing that
I have a lot to say already, but we need to find out the details. So everybody stick with me. It looks like it's going to be a long night. And sorry for my camera angle, everything. I wasn't expecting to go on the air, not even dressed for it.
Kind of changes the mood of what we were all about to talk about.
All right, so everybody stand by. I'm going to go back to a full screen, and I'll be back. Let me gather information.
And, as we sit here and watch, we'll absolutely stay live, and we will also take your calls. And we're going to put the numbers up on the screen very briefly, and I'll read them out loud as well. So if you want to call in, talk to us about what is happening. 202 is the area code, 748-8001 for Republicans, 748-8000 for Democrats, 748-8002 for Independents. Karen Bohan, you mentioned that you were at the Hilton earlier, meeting with colleagues and got into the venue. What was the security for you to get through the perimeter? Because it's not just a hotel, they set up a perimeter now, don't they?
They set up a perimeter, they were checking tickets, and you were only supposed to be allowed in if you were a guest.
And if somebody got a ticket, a protester got a ticket, then they could make it in at least to the hotel, correct?
Yeah.
could they make it into the ballroom? Because we're talking magnetometers. And we have somebody on the phone now who works for the Washington Hilton. I apologize. Malika Hall, who is attending the dinner, is a C-SPAN employee. Hey, Malika, what's going on? What do you got?
Hi, I'm in the room right now. Originally, a lot of people were under tables. We're now all standing up and looking around. All of the secretaries and the president has been removed from the room. I'm not exactly sure what happened. All we heard was yelling and being Secret Service, and yes, I'm okay. Thank you. And then Secret Service running on tables, and luckily I have C-SPAN employees near me, just reassuring me that we're all okay. But yeah, President Trump obviously has been removed from the room.
Hey, Malika, were you close? This is Peter. Were you close enough to see the Secret Service take Mr. and Mrs. Trump out?
I was close enough, but I was under the table, so I did not see it firsthand.
Really? What made you? Was there a noise? Were there loud noises? Did it sound like shots?
I did not hear any shots. You just heard yelling and just commotion, like someone yelling through the room, or maybe someone came in. I'm really not sure what happened.
And did somebody tell you to duck, or did you just instinctively get under the table?
I instinctively got under the table, and other people were getting under the table as well. So it seems like the common thing that was recommended to do.
Hey, Malika, how far from the stage are you right now? From the head table?
Maybe a couple yards. I'm very close to. I'm maybe 2 tables away from the stage.
And
I was very close.
Has the stage been emptied? Or is everybody that was at the head table, including Weijia Zhang of CBS, have you all?
The entire stage is empty. Yes, everyone from the stage is gone.
Okay, it was weird. Malika, we were sitting here, here with Karen Bohan and Mike Dubke.
I want him to call into the control room and get on the air from this room.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. Malika?
I want John
Yes, hi.
to do a phoner.
Okay, we have John here who could also
Is John McCardle there? Great, let me talk to John.
Here, right here.
Thanks, Malika. Hey, John, it's Peter. You're on the air. And
Hey,
how
Peter.
close were you to the stage when this occurred,
Peter,
whatever
we're
this event was?
Peter, we're about 4 tables back from the stage, and
Check
and
1
there's
2.
just
Check
a
1
lot
2.
of confusion about what's going on.
Okay, so I think I have some information. Again, in moments like this, I have to do my job as professional as I can and watch what I say. But I have information coming in that there was a shooter. It happened to take place out in the lobby as of right now, and the shooter is deceased. Now, that is not 100% confirmation. I just did get that from I know what you're going to say. I got it from a CNN feed, but it seemed to be legit. Sorry if my audio was a little too high there. So that's what I have right now. According to early preliminary reports, there was a shooter out in the lobby of the hotel. It is a big hotel, and the shooter is deceased. I'll go off camera again, okay, and I will try and gather more information. So I know you're going to all channel surf, and what you should, to grab the best information you can. I'm going to go do the same thing right now, and I will get back to you in a moment.
It's, given the level of security at any event in Washington D.C. and the individuals that were at this event, for the most part, I've got to believe that the majority of them go through magnetometers almost on a daily basis. Yeah. So to hear that there were protesters there for a long period of time, that is very surprising. But these events are generally locked down fairly tight, and people arrive hours early to get to their table, to get in line, and to get through. So again, all of this, especially in Washington, and not being outside in a place where you might have local police or others who aren't used to this. This is a very controlled situation.
Yeah, and we can see that everybody's remaining in the ballroom. All the guests are remaining in the ballroom. And John McArdle, who's at the dinner, and everybody is saying there were loud sounds. So not confirmed to be shots, but loud sounds, and that initiated this, what happened here. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to re-rack where we were in the tape and be able to look at exactly the sequence of events. Again, Oz Pearlman was talking with Mr. and Mrs. Trump at the head table. They were having, some kind of a, whether it was a trick or not that he was doing, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. And I think we all saw the Secret Service running across those front tables. And it sounds like the cabinet, the Pete Hegseths, Marco Rubio's, the Sean Duffy's, who are all there as well, have been evacuated. And no activity at this point at the head table, including all the journalists. So hopefully somebody will come out and give us an update.
To live through, John. Just take us through those moments of what you heard.
So Peter, the layers of security at the event tonight.
What else were you seeing?
As I said, a couple of protesters did get into the lobby, but even if you got into the lobby, to get down to the ballroom, you would have to show your ticket to go down the escalator, and then you would go through magnetometers.
Yes, that's what we've been also seeing.
Folks coming back.
Secret Service was able to scoop in and arrest and detain the shooter. We don't know how many shots were fired,
I can't tell if
but we
those
do
are
know that it was outside
Service
of the
or if
ballroom,
they're
not
journalists.
where all of the people are packed in like
This is
sardines, as
only
John
a
Roberts has said.
speculation
We
on my
know
part
we
that
have
they're
a lot of
holding
Fox
everyone in
News
the room until they can make a decision as to
people
whether or
on air and
not
off
they
air that are at this dinner, right, John?
control of the
I mean, this is a
situation
room
or
full of very
not. So
important political
none of
people
this
as well,
seems,
right?
after these major events,
and we will try to get
do me a favor.
John
Do me a
McArdle
favor.
after dinner back on the line.
Somebody,
30
seconds
from
here.
C-SPAN to hopefully give us an
channel
update.
surfing
The fact
as
that
much
everybody's still in the
information as you
room.
can.
Yeah, let's take
I've
break.
got there was a shooter.
Talk about what happened.
The shots came from the lobby.
Especially a room full of journalists who want to go out and
The shooter
report.
is dead. That's what I have so far. I'm going to let you go.
I'm
Text
sure
me
that
if you get anything.
by the service.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
John was saying, we
that
don't
front
know
table as well.
if anyone was hit, but
So this is a
we're
first.
getting word
It
that
is
the
a
shooter
first.
may have been hit. It happened so quickly that you heard
Never happened
this,
before, I
this
don't think, in
crash,
the
and then the
history of
Secret
the
Service
dinner.
ran in. The president was out
No,
in moments,
not to my
and
recollection.
everybody
but,
went under the table. I mean, I'm talking.
This is
entire,
indicative of a level of
ballroom
political violence
started
that we've
to go
seen the
under
uptick
their
of,
tables.
and so
and
unfortunately,
the
I'm not
Secret
sure
Service
anyone in that
started
room is
running guns
surprised.
They had the
Hey,
cat
John
team
McArdle,
out,
our
and the president
C-SPAN
and the first lady
colleague
were
who
out,
was at the
as well as
dinner.
the
You are
vice
back
president.
on the line. John, you were going to walk us through the sequence of events. Go.
Yeah, Peter. We were sitting here having dinner. They were serving a salad, and suddenly, boom, 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 boom. 4 is what I heard from the back of the room. Everybody immediately just trying to figure out what's going on. When I look back to the front of the room, the Secret Service and the long guns and the military stage, president off the stage, the vice president's off the stage. Everybody's still trying to figure out what's going on. It seems to me it came over my back left shoulder into the exit that's to the back of the room. At that point, all the cabinet secretaries start to get hustled out of the room. Various groups of Secret Service are shouting out for cabinet secretaries, asking them to raise their hands, or at least calling out to them. I don't know if they're saying raise their hands. They're then sort of climbing through the tables and chairs. Most people are down beneath their seats, and they're pulling out individual cabinet secretaries and hustling them out of the room. Other dignitaries besides cabinet secretaries were hustled out as well. It was more like state delegations as well. But at this point, it's everybody just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. I don't want to add to the mix. I've heard different things about what could have happened outside. Haven't seen anything myself. It's all what people are saying. I don't know where you are.
All right, and we will take this as gossip and conjecture. Is somebody speaking at the podium? Not yet. Somebody's up there, though. John, what are you hearing as conjecture? This is conjecture.
Yeah. I mean, that there.
Unfortunately, John, you're cutting out. Once we find that one location and we get you back on the phone, don't move. You with us? Yeah, I can imagine all the cells. We'll get a better connection with John and we'll continue our conversation. So you've got 2,000 journalists in this room, all hearing things, conjecturing. Mike Dubke, does anything, I mean, what's your initial gut on what just happened here?
Well, depending on, I mean, again, it's all speculation, and it all revolves around the loud noises. I think if you were in a room and there were actual shots, that would have been a very distinctive noise. It could have been something outside of the room. He sounds, if what John was saying about the exit, it could have been somebody stopped before they got to the room. The interesting thing, I think, for your viewers on all of this is each one of the cabinet secretaries has their own security detail, as well as the Secret Service that's
telling them to
there.
raise their hand.
Well, but they're all in the room as well, I would imagine. And so, I mean, they generally have 2, 3, maybe 4 people that are with them, each cabinet secretary. So you had a lot of security in this room, given the number of cabinet secretaries that came to this event.
And they're still up there on the stage. Can't tell if they're about to make an announcement. It looks like some attendees are back up there, so whether they're going to seat or not, I don't know. But in the meantime, this was maybe 15 minutes ago, and we're going to show you a replay of what happened, and here we go. Karen Bohan, former editor-in-chief of USA Today. When you watch that, what do you see?
So you see people on the head table taken by surprise, and the president whisked out of there very, very quickly.
Did you hear those 4 loud noises?
Yeah.
I heard those too, didn't you? But the president and Wei Zhejiang didn't seem to have a quick reaction to them.
Well, I mean, you've been in a room with hundreds of people and the conversations that are happening,
right.
and you're having a personal conversation, most likely trying to lean in and hear the person speaking to you. And you know, your microphones are picking up noises. Again, it sounded distant, at least from the microphones, but that is not surprising that they wouldn't have heard a thing.
Well, hey, Greta Bronner of C-SPAN is at the dinner, and she is on the line. First of all, Greta, what we're seeing on the scene right now is that all the attendees are filing out. Is that correct?
Yes, and I just left myself, actually, so I was able to talk to you because there's not cell service down in the ballroom area. So I left the building. I'm standing outside. There is a large police presence outside. The attendees are filing out, and it's unclear what's going to happen next. The lobby of the Hilton is where the action happened before the ballroom. I'm not sure if it was unclear what was happening in the ballroom itself. It sort of obviously caught everyone by surprise as we were sitting there and the dinner was getting underway.
Greta, did you see the president and Mrs. Trump being hustled off?
I did not. It happened so quickly. I was talking to folks at our table I heard a clattering of what sounded like plates, turned around, and the vice president, the president, and the first lady were gone. That's how quickly it happened.
Okay. All right. So you're standing outside the Hilton now. You're on Mass Ave or Connecticut Avenue? Or close by Connecticut Avenue, which is where the hotel is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Is the dinner over?
It's hard to know at this point. When I exited the ballroom, I turned around to law enforcement to go try to find a different way out. And he said to me, "You cannot come back in this way." So once I had left the ballroom, if anyone leaves the ballroom, you're not getting back in. I believe he said to me, "This is a crime scene. You are not coming back in this way." Back through the metal detectors to get into the ballroom.
Okay. He used the term crime scene.
I believe.
Okay.
So.
Hey, Greta, stay on the line.
It was a rush to get out.
Okay. But it looks like everybody was in there, stayed in there for a while.
Yes, and it was as the president, first lady, and the vice president were rushed out, there was another wave of law enforcement that came in after them. They escorted out the Health and Human Services Secretary, RFK Jr. Then I, next to our table, saw the Secretary of State escorted out, Marco Rubio. The Small Business Administrator.
When
Kelly
you say
Loeffler,
escorted out, I mean, are we talking about, pardon me, covering the protectee or just walking them out?
Walking them out with law enforcement surrounding them. For RFK Jr., he had more law enforcement around him, escorting him out. Their weapons were revealed at that point. The Secretary of State had less of people around him, and he was escorted out toward the dais where the president had been, and they went back through that room when they were brought out. We also had the Small Business Administrator close to our table, and she was also, there were law enforcement surrounding her as well.
Hey,
Kelly Loeffler.
Greta, are you guessing that the president is back at the White House at this point?
He was evacuated, from what I understood, and he is no longer on the presence on the grounds.
Great. Hey, Greta, if
there are helicopters.
Yep.
There are helicopters circling right now.
Okay. All right. Hey, Greta, stay on the line with us. I think we just saw John McArdle, who's still in the ballroom. Nope, John is not there. Wei Zhejiang is back at the dais. Let's listen.
I can tell you that our program is going to resume momentarily. We will have more details to share also momentarily, but for now, please just be patient as we figure out just how much time it will be, but it shouldn't be that much longer. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Zhang of CBS just shared that the program will resume. Did we lose Greta? I think we lost Greta. Let's check in with John McArdle. Okay. Hey, Greta, are you still with us?
Yes.
Wei Zhejiang of CBS just said that the program will resume. So I take it that everybody's safe at this point, but probably not return of the president and Mrs. Trump and Vice President Vance.
And the rest of the cabinet secretaries as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've been removed from the the Hilton.
And Greta, you think you're going to have trouble getting back in, huh?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. The crowds are, they don't appear that they are at this end of the building where I'm at. Folks have left the building. It's a room for journalists, and as I'm talking to you, Peter, I hear a journalist saying, "I'm headed to the bureau." So folks have to do their job at the same time when you have a historical moment like this.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, if you don't mind just staying on the line, just so we have that connection to the Washington Hilton until we get John on camera. We'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. They are back. No, they're back up at the dais, but looks like they're doing some technical. Yeah, they're doing some technical work here. Hey, Karen Bohan, who is our guest here, and not doing the program that we had predicted that we would be doing this evening. We appreciate your rolling with us. When something like this, as a reporter, when something like this happens in the middle of mundane activities, what happens at USA Today?
So for any reporter in that room, whether they're USA Today or the Washington Post,
1, 2.
They're thinking, how can I file a story on this? How can I get information out? And it has to be very frustrating because not only do they not know.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. That was chaotic. And the crazy part is I wasn't monitoring at the time. I was multitasking and getting ready to post some snippets. Hold on a second.
Teleprompters.
And what does that tell you, Mike Dubke?
It tells me the president might actually be coming back.
Really?
I would be incredibly surprised if that happened, but generally you would take the seal off the podium and you would not be measuring.
Okay, so it does sound like they're coming back. I'm gathering information. I do apologize during that chaotic moment. You probably heard me on the phone with some of the folks who help me when we have big breaking news. I reach out to contacts immediately. And forgive me if you hear my phone going off. So it's not all I've got again right now is I know nobody's confirming it, but there seems to be a shooter, unless there's something we don't know. But if President Trump is indeed coming back, okay, this is going to be amazing. Because when dinner was going on and I was watching all the playbacks, the flashbacks of former presidents trying to be funny at the past White House Correspondents dinners, I literally said, I was surveying the place during the national anthem. I said to myself, somebody would be crazy to try and do something at this event. And sure enough, something has happened. I don't have enough details. The press doesn't seem to have enough details right now. I'm sure we'll get more. Okay. All right. You guys should be hearing me okay. Somebody just said no sound in the comments. You guys hear me okay? Yeah, let me know if you're hearing me okay in the comments, please. I hear you. Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay. Again, I covered live the president's attempted assassination in Butler, PA that day. And that was probably the most difficult time that I had, but I think I pulled it off very professionally. But right now, details are scattered. I'm in real time with you. Okay, so my sources who work with me are saying the shooter is dead. No confirmation on identity yet. Confirmation on identity. So again, we're speculating. Okay, and you know me, I'm one for truth, facts, and I don't play that game. But I've listened to every network. I was bouncing back while I was off camera, all over the place. And so there's a lot of speculation. But what's consistent is a shooter out somewhere in the hall, if you will. Okay? I got to make sure that I don't want my microphone. I'm watching my audio levels. I don't want to be. So we'll keep this on. So I'm going to stick here with you. I'm going to go back and forth in the meantime to gather more information. Yes, there's a lot of confusion. I see your comments in real time. I didn't program it tonight to bring them on the screen. I'm not going to be able to do that right now. But by the looks of things, if you see on your TV screen right now or your whatever mobile device, that everybody's back in the room for the dinner, the banquet hall there. So, yeah, I have no idea. So it's going to be quite amazing, and I'll cut live to it. I'll get off camera here if the president comes back. I can only imagine his Secret Service right now pulling their hair out. The last thing they want to do is come back here. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see what happens. So I'm going to let me do a quick, I want to do a quick refresh. You're going to see a commercial. Hold on a second. I just want to do a refresh for the upcoming live feed. Okay, good. All right. So let me cut back here. Let me hear for a second. Hold on.
The service protects the principals, and sometimes spouses get left behind, and it's a terrible, terrible thing that happened. But the security performed the way they needed to.
And Greta, we will continue to check in with you if you find anything else outside of the Washington Hilton. But let's check in with John McCardle. John is still in the ballroom. John, you're on the phone with us, correct?
I can hear you.
All right. What do you got for us?
Peter, so we've turned our camera around 180 degrees. Before you were looking at me towards the emptier side of the room. You can see behind me that most of the room, most of the reporters and the folk here are still waiting around because the folks sitting at the door when the Secret Service initially came in and said, everybody out. Yeah, Peter.
John, just keep your head still because you break up every time you turn your head. So just look at the camera, okay, and just talk to us.
So, Peter, behind the stage.
All right, that's they're having audio difficulties there. So I'm just going to cut away, pretending I'm his director. So, again, I'm going to keep an eye on things right now. We'll keep an eye on President Trump coming back. Okay, I've got the footage. I'm looking at the footage right now, and I don't have it loaded up yet. But the moment they're whisking President Trump away, Secret Service running. Okay, so okay, that's the first time I'm seeing that. So I'm going to post that to my social media accounts. Again, I'll keep an eye on things. Again, talk amongst yourselves in the comments. Communicate with each other. I'm going to put this is C-SPAN. I'm going to put the C-SPAN feed back on. I'm going to go off camera again and send a couple texts and try and gather a little bit more information. If the president does happen to come back on while I'm off camera, I'm just going to stick with it and just let it roll. But give me a few minutes here. I'll be right back.
Dinner was just getting started. They were, as we know, getting their salads. Oz Pearlman, the mentalist, was talking with Mr. and Mrs. Trump on the podium. Let's watch what happened again. And that's what happened about 45 minutes ago. Now back to the live ballroom. Let's see what's happening up there. Nope, people are still talking on the phone. Nothing is moved yet.
Okay, one thing I want to say. If this is indeed a shooter, again, I don't have that confirmation. It seems to be that way. But if this is indeed the case, what a moment for President Trump to address the media than at the White House Correspondents' dinner. Because I put all blame for every attempted assassination, shots fired on the mainstream media. It is their fault. Why do you think someone like myself, working so hard tirelessly, one, I love it, but two is because I realize we're up against the mainstream media every single day, combating their lies with the truth. I hope if he does come back on momentarily, I hope he does indeed say exactly what I'm talking about right now. Now, forget the jokes and all that. I mean, I have no idea. This is kind of chaotic right now. And there you go, live on your screen. You're getting one of the servers filling ice back up as the glasses. So that's an indication they're coming back. So we're in for a heck of a night right now. So I don't know how the president's going to play it and whether because of intelligence, he may not be able to say too much. So there is that possibility. But if he indeed knows that somebody tried to get in there with a gun and they were neutralized before getting into that room, I blame the people in that room right now. The majority of those people in that room right now, it's like the teacher having the class all gathered in the same room. This is his moment. This is his opportunity. And right now, because of this breaking news, the entire world, the whole world is watching. I'm going to put this back up for you, and I'll be right back.
We're going to have to move you a little bit, John, or get you somewhere so we can have that good coverage, but we appreciate your time. Now, Fox is reporting that the president is returning to the dinner. Yeah. Mike Dubke, does that surprise you, knowing President Trump?
It does not surprise me, knowing President Trump. It surprises me that the Secret Service are allowing him to return to the dinner.
Do you think the Secret Service had a role if he wanted to go? Can the president overrule?
Absolutely, he can. Generally, they listen to the Secret Service. But again, I mentioned Butler earlier. This is a president that has, I hate to say, been there, done that, because I think this was less of an incident than that was. But this is also a president who understands the power of the media, and when they did not, as I said earlier, when they did not pull that seal off the podium, there was a sneaking suspicion something was happening.
Yeah, because that goes pretty quickly, doesn't it?
That does go pretty quickly, yes.
So the other thing is that presidents never want to look like they're hiding from something, and I think there is an inclination of any president to want to reassure people that things are back to normal. The Secret Service, often, would put their foot down and say that, no, your safety is more important. But presidents do overrule Secret Service. 9/11, obviously very different, but, there was a big debate, as to where President Bush should go, because he was out of Washington when that attack happened. And, if the people in charge of security had their way, there would be no risk-taking at all. You would just remove the president. But, presidents don't want to be seen as being in hiding at a moment like this.
One interesting addition to this that I might give is that my guess is the Secret Service feels that they are comfortable knowing what the incident was and what happened, because if there still was a threat within the building, there is no way. I don't care if the president said I'm going back. They would not. Yeah. They would not allow that. So again, I am slightly surprised. The seal was a giveaway, but with this president, this is part of his and this is part of his persona. And then, to your point, no president wants to seem like they are hiding.
All right. So Mike Dubke, Karen Bohan, he's got this speech. The speech has been written. The speech has been loaded into the teleprompter. It's got jokes. It's maybe got zingers. Is that the speech that's going to be delivered tonight?
Parts of it. He is furiously, I think, figuring out what his ad libs are to this. I think he's probably thinking all of that through. You know, again, there's a president that speaks off the cuff very well. I think you're going to hear a lot. You're going to hear a lot more straight out of the mouth of Donald Trump than maybe you would have the canned jokes that he had prepared for the evening.
Greta Bronner is outside the Washington Hilton Hotel on Connecticut Avenue in D.C. Greta, what do you got for us?
Peter, I tried walking one direction after I had exited the building. I was told by law enforcement he was not allowed to allow anyone back that direction, which is toward the front of the Hilton. And he said, I'm not allowed to let you back in. And so I said, so if you leave, you're not going back in. And he said, I don't know, ma'am. I've just been told you cannot come this way. And as I said earlier, I've talked to many of the attendees who are standing outside. They were told to get out. Once the people had been ducking under tables and they came up, they said, you're safe now. You need to leave. And they escorted people out of the ballroom. And so many of the attendees are not planning to go back in.
Well, we understand Fox is reporting, and our suspicions are that the president is returning to the Washington Hilton.
I heard that. I heard CNN is reporting the same. You know, I can just tell you what I'm seeing from the outside. The helicopter that was circling seems to have left. The police force, though, is still here. I mean, there are ambulances and there are fire trucks and there are police vans, police cars.
Are you in a position, Greta, to see the motorcade coming up Connecticut?
I am not.
Okay. All right.
I'm heading toward Connecticut right now, but
Okay.
I've been on the backside of the Washington Hilton.
And the White House is now confirming that the president is coming back to the Washington Hilton. So there will be some type of a program this evening. John McArdle in the ballroom. John, you got an update for us?
Peter, I'm hearing what you're hearing. Actually, what I had heard from some of the folks in the room is that the president didn't actually leave, that he does want to come back, and that he's still somewhere in a secure area. Here, again, that's part of what's happening in the room. I'm also joined by Jasmine Wright. C-SPAN viewers know Jasmine well. Jasmine, do you want to talk about what you know at this point and what you've heard?
So what we know is that we were seated on the upper rim of the ball, and we heard a succession of pops. It sounded like we saw pops get down to the ground, and after the shots let out, she looked at us, and I saw my coach, and he had been evacuated. So our host second up, he quick timing. Secret Service moved to remove Jim from the room, and then we saw them try to basically climb over the table.
Right.
It's so to see the room. The table were seated, some on the ground, really questioning what was happening. It was catching some officials down in the booth here, and they said they actually didn't hear pulse. And so it was a lot of confusion. I talked to one administration, so the first thing that they heard, they were seated closest to the stage, was the sound of running.
John, hold that microphone closer to Jasmine.
But you saw the Secret Service agents climbing under the table, trying to remove the cabinet officials. Secretary of HHS, Robert.
This isn't worth it.
Marco Castillo, they were trying to place him in the ballroom. They removed Secretary of Defense. That's being removed.
All these individual details.
But it both felt like it happened so quickly, and also it took a lot of time because of the position of the table.
Have you gotten any information more than we've heard from Wei Zhejiang about this continuing. What we know was the announcement saying this will continue in some way, and we've also heard that the president wants to come back.
Some say that he wants to come back. But obviously, I think the one administration official still left in the room tonight who said that whether or not he does come back, because it's conservative, they believe that he wants to come back because it's now his third assassination attempt, and this would be a moment for him to president show America against him. The question is whether or not he's back in the room.
John McArdle.
It would be on today, whether or not
John McArdle, I'm afraid we're going to have to lose you.
Peter, I just heard you. You're heading out.
Hey, John, we're going to have to cut. I apologize. The audio on that was so difficult. There was so much good information, and we just could not hear you clearly enough. If you could get a better location and keep Jasmine close by, we just cannot get that audio. And we really want to hear what you guys were talking about. Okay, now, I think Mike Dubke or Karen Bohan, you said that the president probably didn't even leave the hotel at this point, it sounds like, because if he's coming back, we got Greta out on Connecticut Avenue outside the Washington Hilton. Greta, any update for us?
Hey, Peter.
Yep.
I just tried to walk onto Connecticut Avenue, was told that is all off limits at this moment. And the police officer is uncertain as to what is happening right now. He has just been told that no one can access Connecticut Avenue.
Wow.
I'm making my way around, I think, what will be several blocks and try to cut down the other way.
You know, I don't mean to make a joke at this point, but Greta, I know you don't have comfortable shoes on.
I do not. I do not. But, yeah, it's the law enforcement is still here. I misspoke before. The helicopter is still circling around the Hilton.
Well, it looks like Sean Duffy is back in the ballroom. We see Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy there back in the ballroom. Greta, it also sounds like the president never left the Hilton, is what we're also being told. Whether we not confirmed, but we're being told that as well. So, sounds like Greta's out of range as well. Now, Mike Dubke, you've referenced this a couple of times, but how do you think the president's reacting, especially after what happened in Butler? Is he ticked off? Is he defiant? You know, what do you think his
I think his demeanor,
emotion is?
Well, I think his demeanor is around the three words he said: fight, fight, fight. I think that's his demeanor, and he's going to have the same demeanor for this event as well.
Karen Bohan, once this is all settled and the investigation starts, how long will that go? I mean, how in depth will we go on a potential shooting, a shooter close to the president?
So I think there will be a lengthy investigation because this is a huge lapse. I mean, this is, yes, the president is safe, and even if the event goes on, but for a shooter to get that close to the president at an event where, the security precautions are known. This is an event that takes place every year. President is attending as president for the first time, but he is not the first president to do so. So, what happened here, has to be of a huge amount of concern.
Yeah, it looks like they, even when they took him off the podium, that they put him on the ground to begin, at least covered him there. They didn't know what was happening. Right.
What's interesting to me through all of this is you've got this room of reporters, and we went through this at the beginning of the Trump administration, where reporters are finally utilizing social media at that time in 2017. Yeah. So we got a lot of things in which, and this is where I had an issue with the media at the time, where they were reporting out through social media items that their editors wouldn't let them put in the newspaper because they didn't have two sources. And it was a little loosey-goosey at that period.
Okay. So I don't have anything else to report right now. Everything's still in the dark. I know we're hearing speculation. But I did post to my social media. There was an account with CNN's Wolf Blitzer, Colin Rugg, who I just posted on there, said that there was indeed a shooter. Oh, here we go. Quite an evening in D.C. The President of the United States, Secret Service, and law enforcement did a fantastic job. They acted quickly and bravely. The shooter has been apprehended. Okay, so there we go. And I have recommended that we let the show go on, but will entirely be guided by law enforcement. They will make a decision shortly. Regardless of the decision, everything will be much different than planned, and we'll just plain have to do it again. Okay, so there you go. Breaking news right now. So you're going to see the screen change on there. So let's go over to Truth Social. You get to watch me work in real time. So I'm going to post these right now. So I get everybody, because not everybody watches live streams. Okay, let me screenshot this. Guys can see me work. Look at that. All right, so we're gonna go here. I'll do this. Hold on a second. 1 second. What? 1 second. Okay, so I'll bring that right back up because that would have interfered with. Okay, screenshots. Okay. Breaking. POTUS makes a statement. Okay. Oh, of course. And bear with me just 1 second. We'll get right back. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me post that to my other platforms real quick, and then we'll talk. We'll interact here. Doing my absolute best in a real-time breaking news situation. I always think about these situations and how to stay grounded, trust my sources, be as professional as I can. Okay. All right. So we can do this again. All right, let me bring that back up on the 1 second. Okay, good to go. All right, let's hear what they're saying real quick.
He was looking around the ballroom. He was watching as the cabinet secretaries were whisked toward the dais. I found it very interesting that's how he observed the situation.
Hey Greta, I know when we've replayed now a couple of times the incident itself, and Karen Bohan and Mike Dubke on the set with me, we could all hear the boom, 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 boom. Did you hear it when you were in the room?
Was that to me, Peter?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I did not hear gunshots. What people have described as what they thought were gunshots. I did not hear that. I heard what sounded like a tray clashing to the ground. People shouting, "Get down, get down!" And when I turned to look at the dais, as I said earlier, the president, first lady, the vice president, they were gone. It happened incredibly quickly. And then you couldn't, from where we were at, you could not see where there was a person in the room or a suspect in the room. Everyone was down. The room was
okay. I'm going to interrupt this caller. There's nothing she is really saying, in my opinion. So again, if President Trump does come back, which it's looking like that's going to be the case, unless something changes at last minute here. We just read, and I just posted I'm looking at your comments too in real time. I can see all your comments on every platform I'm streaming on right now. Okay. Again, as I see your comments, again, we can speculate all we want. It's too early, but what we can do is we can look back on events and all the way back to Butler, PA, to the golf course incident, and how many other ones that we don't know about publicly. Okay. So again, there it is right there. That screenshot is now on my platforms. Okay. You can go ahead and share that if you need to. But he says, let the show go on but will entirely be guided by law enforcement. They will make a decision regardless shortly. Okay. So there we go. Go ahead. I'm kind of keeping an eye on your comments as well. If you have any information, let me check my phone real quick. Make sure. Okay, I got nothing at the moment. So again, it's all early. Let's see what happens here. Going back to what I was saying is that we had all these incidences as well, and leading up to this. Now, look, I'm not going to lie to you, okay? There's certain things I don't post, but I'll be willing to talk about it right now because I keep certain timelines and not dates, but timelines to myself. I really don't post that because I don't think it's necessary. Make sure I'm not, okay. Make sure that microphone is not too loud. All right. Again, thank you for bearing with me. I had no plans to be on the air. As you saw, I made a change. But at the same time, I look at 4th of July coming up. I realize it's the 250th celebration of America. We have two big events. We have the 250th celebration of America on July 4th, and we have the midterms coming up. I have said it. A clock is ticking. There's no question about that. I don't know what is exactly going on here. I'm going to be very careful in regards to, I know people are saying, just spit it out. It's not that. It's I can come on here and then I can get off the air and say, why the heck did I say that? It's irresponsible, and I don't want to be irresponsible. But again, there is a lot of there's a lot of deadlines right now, and I know a lot of speculation, and every single event is going to turn into speculation and a conspiracy theory, and I know how that works. But at the same time, something's got to give here. Now, I think this is a moment in presidential history, okay? A moment in presidential history, especially for Donald Trump, only for Donald Trump, because of what he's gone through since the moment he came down that golden escalator, taking the abuse he did by the people in this very room that you see on your screen. The very people. And like I said earlier, all this violence, all these attempted assassination attempts, all of it is a direct result of the mainstream media. And there's nowhere else to point. Now, sure, I saw the comments already. Somebody said it could be Iran. I get it. I understand that. But I don't think it was Iran. Why? Because the preliminary reports that we're getting already was it sounds like a gunman who really didn't have a very good plan. He didn't make it that far. He didn't make it into this room. So they did apprehend him. It sounds like shots were fired, but I don't know that either. But he probably was trying to make it into this room. I can tell you now, I'm not going to buy into, I apologize, I got something in my eye. I'm not going to buy into this BS of this. It's a typical excuse, mental health. You know, he was a crazy transgender mental health guy, and I'm not buying into that anymore. I do realize that they'll use people as a patsy. I get it. Somebody says in the comments, is this one of the scare events? This is why I'm being very careful on what I say. Because, as you know, I'm not like any other page out there. I don't do that stuff. I use most of that behind the scenes for my own research. I'm keeping an eye on your screen. I'll go full screen if the president comes back out, okay? But this absolutely needs to stop. This cannot continue. I made a joke earlier. I let everybody know that tonight was the White House Correspondents' dinner. And I said, this is Trump's first one, pretty much. I mean, the last time he was there was, Obama was roasting him as a civilian. Remember that? And then after that, he was running against Hillary, and they had the dinner. And was that the White House Correspondents' dinner? I think it was. Yeah, it was. I remember everybody was in that room. I remember Maria Bartonova and everybody else. But the president of the United States, Donald Trump, has not attended one of these yet. This is the first one. And I made a joke. Maybe the reason he waited this long is to get the last laugh. Okay. Okay, the U.S. Secret Service, in coordination with the Metropolitan Police Department, is investigating a shooting incident near the main magnetometer screening area. Oh, okay, magnetometer. At the White House Correspondents' dinner. The president and the first lady are safe along with all protectees. One individual is in custody. The condition of those involved is not yet known, and law enforcement is actively assessing the situation. Okay, so there's another update. President Trump already posted, and now we have this. So, again, you can go on my page. I posted President Trump's post already. I'm just going to stick with you here. I'm going to, I work very well when it's unscripted. You get the real raw me. I do most of my podcasts pretty much with just bullet points. I like going off the cuff because I feel that I well inform myself and educate myself. I'm looking at Donald. I'm looking at my phone right now. Hold on a second.
My apologies. His post on Truth Social, and law enforcement has requested that we leave the premises consistent with protocol, and he wanted to emphasize that nobody was hurt. He and the First Lady, the cabinet, everybody's safe. Okay, I'm going to interrupt. I have it right here, okay? He just posted again. Law enforcement has requested, just from the president, law enforcement has requested that we leave the premise consistent with protocol, which we will do immediately. I will be giving a press conference in 30 minutes. Okay, this was posted 4 minutes ago. So probably a little bit after 10 o'clock here. From the White House press briefing room. So wherever he's at now, he's going right to the press briefing room. The First Lady, plus the Vice President and all cabinet members are in perfect condition. We will be speaking to you in a half an hour. I have spoken with all the representatives in charge of the event and will be rescheduling within 30 days, President Donald J. Trump. Okay, so breaking news.
The president is going to address the nation in about 25 minutes. So I'm going to stay with you here. I'm going to stay with you live. I am streaming on X, Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm going to keep it going here. Again, let's go back here for a minute.
So, thank God everybody is safe. And thank you for coming together tonight. We will do this again. Thank you.
Okay, so what I need to do right now is I need to scramble. I don't know. I would think if I was a producer right now at C-SPAN, I'm telling this man on the air, we're sticking with this. We're going to get the feed from the White House. I'm hoping that's the case, but at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and have my backup for you. I'm sure that the White House on their social platform will probably carry it. I'm sure every major network will carry it because the world's watching right now. This is going to be quite interesting. Yes, I will dissect what he says, to say the least. Okay, so Fox is live. I'm going to probably switch this feed. I'm going to get off of C-SPAN. Let me just check. I'm checking on my phone here. Oh, just a moment. Okay, so this is going to be a last minute thing. So what I'd like to do right now, as you're bearing with me, I'm going to hold on one second. Okay. Yeah, you guys have an angle that you never see, and it's not designed this way. You get to see the clutter behind me because I didn't have time to shift the camera and everything else. All right. So what I'm going to do is, this wasn't designed for this angle, but this is okay. We're going to stick with it right now. Let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and go to True Social. And I'm going to post this real quick. To my platforms. I'll let everybody know I'm staying right here. Okay. Again, I apologize that you got to kind of watch me work here. Get to actually see the real behind the scenes. Okay, how about we go with breaking news? President Trump will address the nation momentarily. Okay, we'll go with that. That's pretty basic. Let me put that on here. Okay. Again, thank you for bearing with me. I'll carry it live. I'll find out. It'll be simple. Usually these things, something like this is a last second, but I'll keep an eye out here. Let me go to the White House page right now. So at least he gave us a 30 minutes heads up, which is probably more like 20 minutes now. Okay. So the White House is on it. It is on it. At least I'm on X. I always go to X. So there's a good chance that the White House will go ahead and have the live feed. Let me also grab Fox. Fox is a backup. Let's see what Fox is streaming right now. Okay. Okay.
He cannot hear us, but let's take a couple calls from our viewers, see what their reaction is to this. And we'll take those calls right after. One more time. Let's replay the event.
All right. So I'm going to stick with, I'll wait till about 10 o'clock here, and I'll keep an eye out whose feed is broadcasting live. This is how it works. Okay. So let me get you, what I'll do is, let me grab, let's see if let me check the White House YouTube. Again, just bear with me, please. Okay, nothing yet. That means everybody's scrambling because this is happening in real time. But I also have, again, C-SPAN is still alive, and there's a good chance that they will also carry it. So I'm going to stick with what I had as far as the feed goes. So we'll do this. I'll bring this back right now. Okay. Okay.
Of the president. They didn't necessarily take him out of the room. What were they doing?
Okay.
They were making sure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step away for just 2 minutes here. I'm going to give you a full screen. I'll be right back. I want to check a couple things.
It was, again, I hate to keep referencing this, but we saw a very similar action in Butler, and you've seen this with other presidents as well, where they make sure that he is protected by a body, in this case, of a Secret Service agent, and then when it's safe to move him out quickly.
Yeah, and it looks like the journalists now, Karen Bohan, are being escorted out. It looks like the room is actually starting to empty a little bit. Yeah.
Back to the dinner and how difficult these items are to put on. I would not be surprised, and I'm saying this now on C-SPAN, maybe they're listening. They could erect a tent on the South Lawn. It would solve the security issues and have a barbecue for the press.
Yeah. I mean,
what would you think about that?
Well, I'm not sure a barbecue is really
a black tie barbecue. It would be out of the ordinary.
This is going to mark a big change in the security for this dinner and
forever
in the planning.
And ever.
Forever,
right?
Yeah. I mean, this hotel is what, maybe a mile and a half from the White House, but
it's been used for 6 decades. JFK was in this ballroom. Richard Nixon, the whole gang, all the way through. They've all been in this ballroom, and that's a lot of history.
Well, so the WHCA dinner hasn't always been at this location.
Oh, it has not. I apologize.
Since I believe it is. It dates back to the 1980s, the early 1980s. Okay. There were other hotels in town. The Capitol Hilton, which is closer to the White House.
At 16th and K?
At 16th and K, yeah. Which used to be, I believe it was the Statler Hotel.
Right.
And the reason that this dinner is at the Hilton, the Washington Hilton, is because the ballroom is so large. And, if you wanted to have a dinner this size, no other hotel can accommodate it.
And wasn't this ballroom designed for this type of event with a security event on top of that?
Yeah.
So, and the fact that both the president and the vice president, the Speaker of the House, were all in the same room.
Yeah,
et cetera, et cetera.
When you think about the level of vulnerability there.
Yeah. All right. One more time, let's check in with our friend and colleague, John McCardle. John, what's going on?
Sure. Just wanted to give you a sense of the end of this here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You can see the journalists are all making their way out. I'm standing next to the ABC News table. Drinks are half drunk and plates are half trays. But at this point, the room is clearing out. There was that announcement you heard from Wei Jiazhang that there will be that statement from the White House and that it's going to be happening in less than a half an hour, saying that's not a joke. There was almost an audible groan from some of the reporters in the room when they heard that, because many of them then started moving very quickly to the doors, knowing that they had to cover it. This is the White House press corps, and they are, many of them, off to the White House now to continue this story.
And that's a very good point. This is the White House press corps.
Yes.
And they're going to make their way down. Will the president?
It's a long walk.
It is a long walk in uncomfortable shoes.
Yes.
And Karen Bohan, is it important? I mean, the cameras can be turned on. Is it important to be in the Brady briefing room for this press conference as a reporter?
Very
Instead
important.
of watching it on TV?
Yeah, I think for the reporters in this room, and there are a lot of reporters in this room who cover other beats. They cover the Pentagon, they cover the State Department. For the reporters who cover the White House every day, they're going to want to be in the press room and be there for that statement.
Hey, John McArdle, have you exited the ballroom yet? Are you in the lobby, or are you still kind of hanging out? Because we still see people in the ballroom hanging out. Oh. Nope, I don't hear John. Sorry about that.
You got a good enough signal out of here.
There we go.
A couple things.
I think we lost John. One more.
Okay. I'm not echoing, am I? All right. Again, thank you for bearing with me. For those who like tuning into my reporting, these are very obviously rare situations. And working in real time as pretty much a one-man band, I have a little help. But right now, and unexpectedly, I just decided to stream it because I love my friends and followers so much that I said, okay, I'll do that. I wasn't going to do it tonight, and I was just like, I'll just post some clips. I didn't expect much. I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. So, and this happens. So again, I appreciate you very much. Thank you, no echo. I appreciate you very much. I don't know what the president's going to say. I'll have a lot more to say as soon as we listen to him. I don't think it's going to be too long. But his words are going to mean, the words he chooses tonight are going to mean a lot. I wouldn't, I'd be very, very, very careful about this part of a scripted movie, central casting. I've given the entire world my view on that term, central casting. It's misused. I'll give more feedback once we hear from the president. But again, as far as the real world situation, I think the big picture here is this is because of the mainstream media. And what a night that this was done on. I mean, a room full of a lot of degenerate reporters. Pretty much the lowest form of scum on the earth, in my opinion. So, and I'm here. I've said it many, many times for years. I do not like being in front of the camera. I'm always uncomfortable. But I have no problem being out of my comfort zone when it comes to the future of this country. And the future of this country has to do with the truth and getting the truth out. And this is why we have been censored for a very, very long time. I hope President Trump does address this situation and pointing the finger at the mainstream media. Everybody has gone absolutely insane. People run on emotion now. They feed off of headlines. They feed off of sound bites from CNN, MSNBC, or whatever it's called now. For all the major publications. One of the biggest things that I was hoping to see still, and it's early still, I get it, is I paid attention who President Trump put in charge of the FCC, which is Brendan Carr. And I really want to see the mainstream media held accountable. No question about that. I'll say it like it is right now. The Russiagate bad actors must be held accountable. Now, I know President Trump this week on Truth Social. Okay, hold on. Who is this? At the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a guest C-SPAN, and it's absolute chaos. Heard the shots, get under the table, grateful for the immediate response to the United States Secret Service and security as they work to apprehend the shooter. Okay, so just they're coming in. Yeah, and they're right. The press pool is rushing over to the White House as we speak. It is 9:56 here on the East Coast. I'm in the same time zone, obviously, as the Washington, D.C. is the White House. And it should be a little after 10. When the president comes on. Again, I'm carrying you right now, doing my absolute best. Here in about right about now, I'm going to start looking for live feeds for you. I don't want to miss it. I'll go to X2 just in case. And I'll bring up the White House again. I keep that open. And the reason I say this is because this is how I do it. Usually when especially during the day, when there's a White House press conference or something, they always go live just a couple of minutes before, and you get that indicator so I can get it shared with my platforms so you don't miss anything. But right now, as of this moment, there's no feed from the White House. And I don't see, and there's no live indicator yet on at least the Fox News stream. So I will keep the White House open right now, and I'll just keep periodically refreshing here. Again, and President Trump's 30 minutes can mean 45. You know how this works. But he's probably going to want to speak pretty quickly. I'm glad that they're not coming back, to be honest with you. I mean, I commend his bravery and the willingness to do so. That's a whole fight moment. I'm sure the president is going to have a lot more detail as to what happened. He did just post about it. The shooter was apprehended, so we don't know much about him. I'm sure we could find out quite a bit in a very short period of time, but I don't know what he's at liberty to tell the public. Again, you guys are welcome. I'm seeing your comments right now as we await President Trump to address the nation. I see your comments. I appreciate you too. Thank you very much for your kind comments. But we already know that President Trump was willing to come back to this room here, as you see on your screen. But I think I think it's wise not to go back. We don't know what's going on there. But again, I'll go back to the little bit of information that I have. I don't think it's something like Iran or something, because it sounds like it was clumsy. If it was more professional, this would probably be a lot worse right now. So again, what's going to happen is they're going to blame it on some crazy, is what they're going to do over and over and over again. Now, again, I said I don't feel like settling for that. But at the same time, I made an announcement recently. I says, we're working on something to come out towards the end of this year, a documentary on TDS. Now, I said that, what is this here? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I seen something in my comments. I want to see something. One second. Josh, in my comments, send that X link where you said video shooter. Send it to my Facebook Messenger right now, please, so I could see. I haven't seen that yet. I'm going to open up my Facebook Messenger right now. Send that there. Oh, my goodness gracious. I just opened up my Facebook Messenger for the first time. I have a lot of messages. It is loaded. Okay. Anyways, so I said as we keep an eye, it's 10:01. So let me bring back X right now. I don't want to miss a beat with this, so I want to get that live feed on. Again, I have C-SPAN on right now, and it looks like they will carry it because they're still live on the air. Okay, yeah, Caroline Levette, 23 minutes ago, President Trump would deliver a statement in the White House briefing room. Okay, I'm just checking the feed. Okay. I'm going to keep it right here. Keep an eye on it. So again, I was, oh, thanks, Josh. Let me open this up here. Okay, I got it. Let me take a look at something. Oh, okay. Okay, so insider paper. All right, let me go there. Yeah, this is what it's not easy to be on the air and do what I do at the same time. So again, bear with me. I promise I'm going to carry you through this. We're going to have President Trump on your screen soon. Okay, yeah, insider paper has quite a bit. Okay, I'm taking a look at the shooter right now. What the hell? Oh, I see. Well, they do have the shooter apprehended. He looks to be naked with that foil that they throw on you. They probably tore his clothes off to make sure he wasn't had any devices on him. So I'm sure that's the case, is why he's probably he looks to be in the buff. So that would make sense. Let's bring this up.
All the people with the guns taking him out, and there's the Treasury Secretary and all his support staff, and just everybody kind of looking around at this point, confused about what's going on. Now, again.
Okay, so again, President Trump. So before things get a little crazy, okay, here is one thing that I have learned in these situations, because I see comments, and I see this for every event, every big breaking news event like this, people question other people's reactions in the video. And I've done research on this, and I forgot the term, but people just act differently. They react differently in situations like this because people say, well, why isn't this person running or whatever it may be? It's very true. People just react different. So before the things get crazy out here on the internet, which they will, let's be careful about that out here. But as we await President Trump, like I said, okay, so we're close here. So let me just keep I'm going to keep it right here with C-SPAN. I'm going to assume C-SPAN is going to carry it live, but just in case, as I'm talking to you, even though I'm looking down, I want to make sure. Okay, so I got some breaking news right now. According to Sean Hannity, if anybody's watching Fox, you may have heard this by now. The perpetrator on the scene, they're processing it, and they say they confirmed one Secret Service agent was in fact shot. The round was stopped by the vest. So a Secret Service agent did take a bullet to the vest. Okay. Why did they zoom out just after the shots were fired? I've been on camera so many times in my career in live events. That is a knee-jerk reaction. Now, granted, I haven't been part of a shooting, okay, but I have been at events where things have happened during a live shoot that caused a major distraction. So I understand that. Yeah, I ran a camera for a very long time. Okay, so again, I'm just keeping an eye on things. We're at that 30-minute mark now. Again, it's President Trump, so we know that he'll be probably a little behind. And he's probably waiting for the White House press pool making their way over. But we'll know by his words and his demeanor. So, and I'll go full screen as soon as the president does come on. All right, let me see what I got here. I'm going to turn this up for a second.
Correspondents' dinner.
So it's the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and it is at its heart about the press and about the reporters who cover the president. It is about the president to some extent, but it is really a celebration of the First Amendment. So, to take the dinner for the White House Correspondents Association to remove the dinner from their hands and put it in the hands of planners at the White House, I think would be unusual.
Now we're getting some more social media video. This is from Notice. News of the United States is their media organization.
I'm going to give you a full screen.
Listen and watch. And under the tables,
I would point out
went.
a couple of things. One, C-SPAN was the one camera, as I understand it, they're the one camera that's officially allowed to be at this.
The so-called pool.
Pool for this event. And unfortunately, most of these media organizations do not invite their camera crews to the dinner. So you're seeing a lot of camera angles on cell phones by individuals who don't do this for a living. They're used to being in front of the camera and not behind the camera. So your C-SPAN's going to have the best coverage of this, I think.
Yeah, my guess is that be part of the investigation, all that footage.
Absolutely.
Austin is in Worden, Montana, Republican line.
All right, so I'll keep an eye on things here. Again, the president will be addressing the nation momentarily. Keeping an eye on the White House feed. Just want to, real quick, as we're waiting this press conference, just want to thank everybody who tunes in to my live streaming, to my reporting, or in moments like this. I appreciate that very much. I take that very seriously because I remember covering Butler, and we were live on the ground in Butler, as a matter of fact, because I had one of my friends on the ground in Butler, and we were he was reporting live just right after the president was shot. And I think that went very well. And I had a very large viewership then. And it was that particular moment that I knew that I don't care if you're going to call yourself an independent news reporter and you're going to do podcasts and you're going to do streaming, you better take that very responsible. Because look at what just happened on your screen. Because of the fake news and their bullshit, all right, we have another shooting, another one. And we can only imagine. Someone said Fox has the podium live. Yeah, I know you may not understand, but I can't grab the Fox TV feed that you see on your television set. But I can grab. Again, we're going to keep that on. I'm assuming C-SPAN will have it, but I'm ready to switch over if they don't, so don't worry. And as a matter of fact, what I'll do, I'll turn on, I don't have it on, but that's a good call. I'm going to turn on, I'm going to turn Fox on my phone. I have my cable connected to my phone. I'm going to turn that on right now. Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay, so I can see the feed now. So we're a little bit away still. They're scrambling, obviously. They have the full production team on there getting ready to go. So this is a big moment. Again, this is historic. Like I said, I mean, again, these people are responsible for this. 100% responsible. And I will admit that when I was watching that RSBN feed, I was watching it. I was literally, it was the weekend, and from Butler, PA, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn on the rally. I'm going to lay down in my bed and relax, take some of this weekend afternoon. Next thing I knew, I heard what sounded like firecrackers at first, and then pop, pop, pop. And then I stood there and I froze in shock, like most of us did, couldn't believe it, and scrambled into the studio and started to report. And it was that moment that, especially after, all I could think of is when I was a kid watching Ronald Reagan get shot. And I watched the coverage. I was only 10 years old, and I was watching the coverage nonstop, 10 or 11, something like that. And watching the news reporters, how they delivered it, how they did their thing. Even though I never wanted to be a news reporter, I just wanted to work behind the scenes. But I remember doing that day with Butler. That's the way I tried to conduct myself, is thinking back when I was watching as a kid. And now it's something like this tonight. I'm trying very hard not to be one-sided, if you will. And what I mean by that is I like to get all the information in and all the facts before I start saying anything further. But again, I'm very much comfortable saying that the mainstream media is responsible for these type of events. What we're looking at on the screen there must be just, okay. Well, nothing happened in that room. That's the good news. So that room there that you're seeing, nothing happened inside there. Happened out in the hallway. Okay, I'm watching the Fox feed. I can't bring up that particular Fox feed. You know what? Let me check. Hold on a second. I know what I'll do. I know what I can find for you. Let me try and get this. I'll bring up, the White House is live. Okay. So I'm going to go to the White House. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, give me a second. Let me fix this real quick. Bear with me. I'm watching the live feed too. They're not on. He's not on yet. Okay, stand by. Okay, so we'll keep that. I'll keep that right there. So that's from the White House page on X, and they're live. So which means that's usually an indicator that it's about to take place, to happen. Every day I do this. All right. So in the comments, I got some information from a text message from one of my wonderful colleagues, if you will. Someone in the comments is saying CBS said the shooter had a shotgun and a handgun. It was about a few minutes ago when you heard my phone beep, about 10 minutes ago, whatever it was, at 10:07. So, yeah, about 10 minutes ago. Supposedly, a volunteer said the shooter assembled a long-range weapon near a bar cart in an unsecured area and started to shoot. So, I don't know how accurate that is, and I'm not saying that my source is wrong, but I'm saying this live on the air right now, and that's just, again, a preliminary report, unconfirmed. So, all right. You got to be very careful out here, because a lot of people put breaking news up before betting it in these type of situations, and everybody just shares the daylights out of it. Okay, I see this report in my comments. I'm not going to buy into that right now. That's really jumping ahead. I can't even. All right. Again, this is a live feed. I'm looking at Fox as well. I think I got to put it back on. So, again, thank you for sticking with me. We'll have the president on any moment now, because the White House is now live on social media. I'm going to turn this up.
And, you look at that room full of reporters. Of course, everybody starts shooting video with their free hand as much as they can, trying to figure out this story as it's unfolding. And is everybody safe? And where are the cabinet members? We watched cabinet members and congressmen get ushered out of the room. Mark Mullen, the new director of Homeland Security, was right near us. I think he was with Brett at Brett's table, and I think Brett probably just spoke about that. But, the president wanted to carry on, and now he is about to speak at the White House. So we're waiting for that to happen. They're just making another announcement here as we speak, so I'm trying to listen to what that is.
Yeah. They're trying to get everybody to leave the building because they want to continue the investigation, so they're pulling all the media out, the cameras, they want everything to leave. And it's understandable because they're trying to conduct an investigation, and there are actually people still staying in this.
Okay, so that's the Fox feed. I was just obviously listening to you with you on my phone. All right. And I ask my incredible audience to be very careful, please. I try to set the example. I do. And I don't tell people what to do. Never will. Never will, because that doesn't work. But I try to set the example. Just be very careful about what you share, because 90% of everything you share in these moments like this is usually false information. So we got to be careful how we word things. And false information leads to things like this. So, all right. So if you're just joining, if you don't know yet, I'm sure you do. There have been shots fired at the White House Correspondents' dinner tonight where President Trump was in attendance. It happened out in the hall, not inside the actual banquet room. The shooter has been apprehended, and he's still alive. That's all we know. The President of the United States is going to address the nation soon, at any moment, hopefully. As you can see, that's a live feed on your screen. And I'll go full screen here in a moment. Let me get this here. Get the screen. Okay. So, all right. I'm gonna see. Let me check the. I'm gonna check Fox as well. Again, trying to talk until this press conference starts. I'll be able to talk very good as soon as this. I'm just making sure that I get. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. The donation just now. Thank you. It really helps. I just want to make sure I get this to you live and right on time. And then I don't have to do this monitoring anymore on the air. And then we could speak right as soon as the president concludes. Okay. No, okay. Let's see. Let me go to the White House feed. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Let me do that. Okay, so C-SPAN does have it. So we're going to stick with C-SPAN. Let me grab that. You're probably seeing it right now. Okay.
Are safe and the shooter was apprehended. The press has been called fake news and often ridiculed by the current occupant of the White House. And I, for one, am glad all the journalists are safe. And I appreciate that you guys regularly put your lives on the front line of reporting every day. So thank you for doing that.
That's Peter in Hancock, Maine. Who came up with the phrase fake news? Was that a Donald Trumpism?
He made it famous. There were bumper stickers back when George Herbert Walker Bush. It was don't blame me.
Ignore the media.
Ignore the media.
Vote for Bush.
Yeah. Don't blame me. I voted for Bush.
Yeah.
This has been an ongoing kind of push and pull, especially with Republican candidates and Republican presidents. For years and years and years. So it wasn't invented by Donald Trump. He's very adept at coming up with quick sayings that's probably given him. But he's also probably the person that's benefited the most from the press, as we were just discussing before.
Karen Bohan, when you hear the term fake news directed at you or your organizations, what's your instinct?
Okay, so now I feel comfortable knowing that C-SPAN has it. We're going to stay right here. I have no idea who's left in my audience here. But if you're there, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. Okay, so we do have some viewers here. Again, you might be tuned in on YouTube or Rumble, X. I'm on X right now, too. So we're going to keep it right here. I'm just going to keep my eye on it. And as soon as the president walks out into the White House press briefing room, I've always said, too, if he's doing the ballroom, they need a bigger press briefing room. They need much bigger. All right. So everybody in the comments, I see your comments now. So I can take a deep breath here. That was chaotic, to say the least. Everybody's saying I'm here. I don't know what the heck that means. Somebody just said, sounding like they were. Oh, they were. I thought you said I was. What are you talking about? So somebody said here, sounded like they were trying to spin it to blame Trump as if the media were the target. That's not surprising to me. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Get this away from my face. I wouldn't doubt it at all. But again, I can confidently, put that right there. Okay. I can confidently say that the mainstream media is to blame. No question about it. I'm keeping my phone on right now. I'll mute it as soon as the president comes on. But I have somebody keeping in touch with me here. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm being sent pictures of the apprehension of the shooter, which we know nothing about at all. So, again, President Trump will be addressing the nation momentarily, any minute now. They're all seated in place, so he's going to walk out that door any second. So I will go ahead and, moment I see him walk out, I will go ahead and give it to you full screen. Let me check my full screen. Okay, we're good. And I'll bring up the volume. Until then, so someone's saying Fox is commenting about Secret Service not being paid. I have no idea. Again, I probably shouldn't even acknowledge that because it's so early right now. And they probably are reporting it. I don't know what's going on. But I'll be able to tell you a lot more as soon as I hear these words from the president himself. We'll see what his demeanor is like. He's had a little bit. It's a little different this time for him because it didn't happen in that room. But at this point, I mean, his poor wife too. I mean, enough is enough. And I'll say it before the president comes out. I know what I was saying. I probably didn't finish what I was saying. The Russiagate bad actors have to be held responsible. I know Trump has been putting out a lot of posts this week in reference to Barack Obama and arrest, etc. That is very important. We have to hold these people. I just will not understand it if they're not held accountable, how we move forward as a nation. I don't even entertain the thought of the Democrats getting back in power. Because if I do, then I start thinking of censorship again. I start thinking of everything that I worked very hard to build going away, being silenced, and probably a lot worse the next time around, no question. But I don't entertain that. I don't think about it. And hopefully tonight I get a little more information by the words of President Trump, his demeanor as well, going forward. Again, I don't know the details enough. We're all just learning of a shooter. But these things, the Russiagate has has to be held accountable. These people, Obama, Brennan, Comey, all of them, they have to be, people are dying. Mueller, gone. So they have to be held accountable. And not even to mention right now, we have the United States military, the biggest military presence right now in the Middle East in history. And we're talking about the nuclear dust. U-1, uranium-1. And that nuclear dust is so important because most likely we're going to find out it came from us. Okay, so I'm getting some news. I'm only going to read it because my associate is sending this to me, and I'm going to, again, this is not all confirmed, but I've got the suspect in the White House Correspondents dinner shooting has been identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen of Torrance, California. That's not enough for me to go on right now. But thank you very much to my colleague. And I don't know nothing about him. I'm sure more will come out. The internet is very good about those things. We'll find out. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, I mean, there's a lot happening right now. Oh, here we go. I think. Oh, that's a reporter coming out. Usually a good indicator that we're about to start. Okay, so yeah, these people have to be held accountable for us to move forward as a nation. President Trump just can't do everything he's doing right now. Okay, the president just texted. I mean, not personally to me, but you all got a text if you're signed up for a text. The text just came through. I am addressing the nation at this hour on a matter of great importance. Okay, here we go. Here he comes.
Was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press.
Well, thank you very much.
And in a certain way it did. And that was very unexpected. The fact that they just unified us to a room incredibly that was just acted upon by Secret Service and law enforcement. And this was an event dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press. And in a certain way it did, because the fact that they just unified us to a room that was just totally unified. It was in one way very beautiful, a very beautiful thing to see. A man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly and have just released, for purposes of transparency, clarity, I've ordered it to be put out. You probably have it by now. Put out on Truth and put out on many other platforms. A tape showing the violence of this thug that attacked our Constitution, and also showing how quickly Secret Service and law enforcement acted on our country's behalf. Really did a great job. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun, and the vest did the job. I just spoke to the officer, and he's doing great. He's in great shape. He is has very high spirits, and we told him we love him and respect him, and he's a very proud guy. He's very proud of what he does, Secret Service agent. And we looked at all of the conditions that took place tonight, and I will say, you know, it's not a particularly secure building. And I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone-proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years for lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different because today we need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before. But everyone owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to the courage of law enforcement, the law enforcement, and working with the D.C. police, and we just spoke with the mayor. And when we're finished, the police chief is going to take over and discuss it also from their viewpoint. But they also performed exactly as they were supposed to, and you see the attacker in different positions, but you also see the attacker totally subdued and under control. So as you know, this is not the first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill. In Butler, Pennsylvania, less than 2 years ago, you all know that story, and in Palm Beach, Florida, a few months after that, we came close. We really had, again, we had some great work done by law enforcement. But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences. I will say, you had Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, liberals, and progressives. Those words are interchangeable, perhaps, but maybe they're not. But yet everybody in that room, big crowd, record-setting crowd. There was a record-setting group of people. And there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together. I watched, and I was very, very impressed by that. But First Lady and I were taken very well care of, very quickly rushed off the stage. Vice President J.D. Vance, who's here, was likewise beautifully done. He was just saying how quickly everybody acted, law enforcement, Secret Service in particular in this case, but law enforcement. Marco had the same thing. Pete was there. Pete didn't want any help. He didn't want anybody to help him. He doesn't want anybody to help him, but he did get some, didn't you? And I think you also said that it was very impressive. So with that, I'd like to ask Todd Blanche to come up, say a few words, and tell you it's already underway. The man has been captured. They're going to his apartment. I guess he lives in California, and he's a sick person, a very sick person, and we don't want things like this to happen. I think it's very important that I say, though, and I told the representatives of the evening, they did such a beautiful job. It was such a beautiful evening. And again, they're talking about free speech in our Constitution. That's what it's all about, not just White House correspondence. It was really based on free speech in our Constitution. But I said very importantly that we'll do it again within the next 30 days, and we'll make it bigger and better and even nicer. So I just want to thank everybody that was involved. I also want to thank the press, the media. You've been very responsible in your coverage. I will say I've been seeing what's been out, and you've been very responsible. So Todd Blanche, I'd like to say a few words, and then we're going to have cash. And then you're going to go on. We can ask, I guess we can take a couple of questions. I want to thank the First Lady that was a rather traumatic experience for her. There was a lot of action taking place up there very quickly. But again, the response time was really incredible. And we're going to reschedule. We're going to do it again. We're not going to let anybody take over our society. We're not going to cancel things out because we can't do that. We wanted to stay tonight. I will tell you, I fought like hell to stay. But it was protocol. They said, please, sir, because they didn't know there was a lot of action going on, and they didn't know could there be probably a lone shooter, but we'll find out. We'll find out very quickly. They have it very well under control. So I want to thank everybody very much. And Todd Blanche, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Tonight you saw the very worst and the very best of this country. You saw the very worst by the actions of that coward that the president just talked about. But you also saw the very best because you saw law enforcement do exactly what they're supposed to do. And you'll see the videos come out, I expect, very shortly, and you'll see law enforcement do exactly what we want them to do. And so I echo what what President Trump just said, that we are extraordinarily grateful and appreciative of the men and women of law enforcement that did their jobs tonight, including one who was injured. This investigation is ongoing. I expect you will see charges filed shortly. The charges should be self-evident given the conduct, but as you'll hear, there will be multiple charges surrounding the shooting, around the possession of firearms, and anything else that we can get on this guy. The investigation is obviously ongoing and just started. There is federal law enforcement already working on search warrants and doing their job, and I don't want to get ahead of them and don't want to get ahead of the work that they're doing even as we speak. Director Patel and I were just on the crime scene a short while ago, and everybody in this room should rest assured that the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI, Secret Service, everybody's on the scene doing their job. I know that the police chief is going to give an update from the scene as soon as we're finished here, and I obviously will lead the details of what they have learned to him. But in the meantime, I just want to thank everybody in this room for the courage, and I want to thank President Trump for his words, and I promise you, justice will be served. Thank you, Director Patel.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Mr. President. The President's absolutely right. You saw the best resolve of American law enforcement because you, Mr. President, inspire them 24/7, 365. You give them the resources that they need, and they know that you have their back. And that is a changing dynamic in this country, and that's why you saw brave Secret Service agents respond immediately, swiftly, subdue and take down the suspect, and safeguard the lives of thousands of individuals at that hotel. Thanks to our interagency partnership with the Department of Homeland Security and the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI was rapidly deployed onto the scene, took over the evidence response unit, is examining all the ballistics that were found on scene, to include the long gun and the shell casings. We are conducting witness interviews as we speak. You will hear from our team on the scene there with the mayor and the head of the FBI field division there. But please know what the Attorney General has just said reigns no truer. You saw the very best of America tonight. The very best unite us at a time of uncertainty, because we have leadership here with the President and the Vice President that backs law enforcement, and the men and women that I shook their hands on the scene today could not have been prouder to show up on scene. And as the Attorney General said, make no mistake, we are conducting witness interviews. If you have any information whatsoever related to this event, 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI. No piece of information is too small. No piece of information is inadequate. We will evaluate it all. We will also be conducting interviews of those that were there. And if any of those individuals have information, please come forward to law enforcement or the FBI or the Metropolitan Police Department. We will be examining this individual's background thoroughly. That process has already started. And we are going to ensure that he was either a lone wolf actor or anyone else that was responsible. We will analyze all evidence immediately to make sure that we safeguard this country. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, thank you for your leadership. Attorney General and Homeland Secretary Marlin, thank you for your partnership in law enforcement.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do a couple and then we go to the chair. Madam Chairman, I just want to say you did a fantastic job. What a beautiful evening, and we're going to reschedule. Okay. And after that, it's very tough for her to ask a killer question, right? But you have done a fantastic job. Please.
Mr. President, I appreciate it. As you mentioned, it all happened so quickly. Yeah. And I wonder, especially because unfortunately you have experience with these sorts of threats, in that moment when you realized there was a threat and service agents were telling us to get down, can you describe what was going through your mind, how you were feeling in that moment?
That's a very good question, actually. It's always shocking when something like this happens. It's happened to me a little bit, and that never changes. The fact, we were sitting right next to each other, First Lady on my right, and I heard a noise and sort of thought it was a tray. I thought it was a tray going down. You know, I've heard that many times, and it was a pretty loud noise. And it was from quite far away. He hadn't reached the area at all. They really got him. But so it was quite far away, but it was a gun. And some people really understood that pretty quickly. Other people didn't. I was watching to see what was happening. Probably should have gone down even faster. Melania was very cognizant, I think, of what happened. I think she knew immediately what happened. She was saying, that's a bad noise. And we were whisked away along with other people, but we were really whisked away. And again, the performance of the Secret Service and the police, all of the law enforcement, I thought was really good. So it was very quick. There wasn't a lot of time to be thinking, because it was a matter of seconds before we were out the door and gone into an area. We very much, and you wanted to too, we very much wanted to continue it, because I don't like to let these sick people, these thugs, these horrible, horrible people, change the fabric of our life, change the course of what we do. So we held out. You were there. We held out right till the end, but they didn't want to take a chance, and I understand there was protocol. But we're going to be doing one hopefully within the next 30 days or sooner, and I am ready, willing, and able. And I was all set to really rip it. And I said to my people, this would be the most inappropriate speech ever made if I said one. So I'll have to save it. I don't know if I could ever be as rough as I was going to be tonight. I think I'm going to be probably very nice. I'll be very boring the next time, but we're going to have a great event. And you did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. There's a report in the New York Post that this assailant assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, you know, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this, where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much, because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names there, the big names. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've taken this country, and we were a laughing stock for years, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We've changed this country. And there are a lot of people that are not happy about that. So I think that's the answer, Peter.
And after Butler, your team for a while rethought outdoor events.
Yeah.
Do you think that you now need to rethink
No.
indoor
Well,
events?
but then you just don't do events. No, I can't do that. I have to, it is what it is. We have to do it. The room was very, very secure. You know, he charged from 50 yards away, so he was very far away from the room.
And what did you think when you saw the video of how fast he was running?
He was moving. He was really moving. And the reaction time was great. Boy, those guys, they had their guns drawn literally by the time he was there. They were shooting.
That's right.
I thought they were very impressive. And if I didn't, I'd let you know. You know, I'm not going to be, I would not stand for that. No, I thought they were very impressive.
President Trump, thank you, President Trump, and thank you for updating us on the suspect earlier. Were you aware of any threats? Was your team aware of any threats beforehand? And do you believe you were the target of this tonight?
I guess. I mean, these people they're crazy. They're crazy, and you know, you never know. He was very far away from me. He had to go through a lot. We had resources all over. We had resources sitting at tables, literally in disguise, sitting maybe at your table, who knows? But we had people all over the room, so he had a long way to go. That was really a first line of defense, and they got him. And they really, you know, they acted incredibly. No, there was no notification. We had no idea. Go ahead, Kevin.
Do you know any political motivations from this?
Well, you never know. Now, we'll be able to tell you that maybe by tomorrow or the next day. You know, he's in custody, and they're asking him a lot of questions. I guess they're going over, Todd, and they're already at his apartment. He lives in California.
Yes, sir.
And they're over there, so they'll be able to tell you. Thank you, Caitlin.
President Trump, did the suspect say anything, or was he wearing anything that would allege some type of motive here?
No, I mean, he was a guy who looked pretty evil when he was down. You know, they had him down. He was fighting hard. He was, in my opinion, a sick person. Who would do that but a sick person? But I think you're going to find everything about him. No reason to talk about it now. But tomorrow at this time, long before this time, you're going to know a lot of things about him. They seem to think he was a lone wolf, and I feel that too.
Are you concerned about U.S. Secret Service protection ability? We saw several of the detailees take minutes to be escorted out of the room.
No, they acted very quickly. No, I was very impressed by Secret Service. I mean, I'm the one, and Mark Wayne, you would agree with that, I think. Absolutely. I'm the one that would complain. You don't have to complain for me. I would be complaining. I'd be up here right now saying they didn't do their job. Oh, believe me, because, you know, it's my life. And I want to live because I want to make this country great. That's why I want to live. But when you're impactful, they go after you. When you're not impactful, they leave you alone. Okay, a couple of more. Go ahead, please.
Is there any indication that this shooting could have been linked to the war in Iran?
I don't think so, but you never know. We're going to know a lot. We have the best people in the world working on it, and we're going to know a lot. Please.
Mr. President, there's a lot. You, as well as some of us who have covered Butler, experienced 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What felt similar? You know, you had the First Lady with you today. What felt different? And you have another 2+ years in office. Are you concerned about something like this happening
Well, I
again?
can't be concerned. I can only get great people. They did the job, in my opinion, a much better job than Butler. Butler had one weak spot that we all know about. Somebody should have been up there. But even Butler, we had our sniper on our side within 4.2 seconds from a distance of about 400 yards, one shot, and he was gone. And if he didn't do it, now, you know, he's David. His name was David. I say, hello, David, every time I see him. David, I like you very much, David. But think of that. Now, if he doesn't hit him, and he hit him right between the eyes from 400 yards without any notice, nobody knew. He heard a sound. He looked over, and there was actually a tree that was somewhat in his way. You know the story very well. And he aimed, he fired. And if he didn't do that, beyond me, you would have had a lot more people killed. We lost one great person and 2 people very badly hurt. They're okay now. But no, that was, so in a sense, you know, that was pretty amazing, the job they did. But they did have that one weak spot. As you know, they should have had that covered. Tonight they had everything covered very quickly. And he was fast. He was running full blast, and they got him before they got any further. I was very far away. You know, he hadn't anywhere close to breach the doors of the ballroom. The ballroom was sealed, and everybody in there. That's why once those doors opened, they didn't want to do tonight. If the doors weren't opened, we could have probably done it tonight. But I think we're much better off rescheduling. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, for you and perhaps law enforcement as well, what is the level of confidence that this was a lone actor, and has the suspect made any statements to police while in custody?
Yeah, I think it's just it's not my profession. We have great professionals up here and outside that have been working with us. My impression is he was a lone wolf, whack job. These are crazy people. And they have to be dealt with. We had that in the second attempt, as you know, and he's spending life in prison. Because if you let him out, they'll probably, you know, if he serves 10 years or 15 years, you let him out, he'll probably try it again with somebody else. They're sick people. We have a lot of sick people. But you're going to know, I think very shortly, you're going to know, Todd, a lot about him. You're going to know a lot about him. Yeah, a couple of more. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Are you concerned about political violence? This could be politically motivated.
All violence. You know, I'm concerned about everything. Look, but I can't be so concerned that you can't function. No, I'm here. It's a dangerous profession. You know, I tell the story, race car drivers, I think it's very dangerous. So if you take 1% and then take about 10% of 1%, just to break it down very easily, they die. So much less than 1%, 10% of 1%. I think bull riding is very dangerous. If you take about the same 10% of 1%, much less than 1%, but if you take presidents, it's 5.8%, and about 8% are shot at. So nobody told me this was such a dangerous profession. If Marco would have told me, maybe I wouldn't have run. Maybe I would have said, I'll take a pass. No, it's a dangerous profession, but I don't view it that way. Look, I'm here to do a job. It's part of the job. It is a dangerous, I can't imagine that there's any profession that's more dangerous. But I love the country, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the job we've done. You see what's happened. We have a great country. We've got, I think, the most successful, the hottest country anywhere in the world. This happened over a period of just a year, and we're going to do great things. But with that come risks. There's no question about it. Yeah.
To that end, I mean, there's been so much political violence, not just aimed at yourself, but at other members of Congress, state house speakers, you name it. Is that just the cost of doing business to do politics in America anymore?
Yeah, well,
what does that say about our country?
Too. We're not the only country. You look at this great violence with all countries. I was talking to somebody from another country today, and they have numerous assassinations of political figures all over the world. You look at South America, it's like some of the numbers are just horrific. It's dangerous. It's dangerous stuff, whether it's here or someplace else. No country is immune. No country. Good question.
Will turn that temperature down at this point?
Well, probably if I decided to just not do much, if I let everybody rip us off and take advantage of us. Look, we're leading the world in trade now. We're leading the world in the military. We're the greatest military in the world. I rebuilt it in my first term, and now we use it because we have no choice. We can't let, as an example, Iran, we can't let them get a nuclear weapon. Everything will be peanuts compared to that if they ever were given a nuclear weapon, and they'd use it too. Marco and I were talking about it today. They would use it without even hesitation. We can't do that. It was a shame. I said, oh boy, look at the numbers. We just broke 50,000 in the Dow. We just broke 7,000 in the S&P. They said we couldn't do it in 7 years, in 5 years, 4 years. They were saying maybe in 5 or 6 years. And we did it in 1 year. And I called everybody together. I called all of these people and others, and I said, we have to take a little journey. I seek to do this. We just had the great number. We just broke 50,000. Wasn't supposed to happen during my term. Wasn't reachable. We did it in 1 year, and I said, we're going to have to make a journey to Iran. They're going to have a nuclear weapon if we don't do it. We had the B-2 bombers take them out. I terminated in the first term the Obama agreement, the Iran nuclear agreement, which was a disaster. That was a road to a nuclear weapon. They would have used it. They would have used it 100%. So, when you do things like that, you become a target. If I wasn't doing that, I guess I'd be a lot less of a target. But I'm honored to be. Okay, one more question. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump. Do you know how the gun was brought into the hotel? And also, how does this event impact you as the leader of our country? Do you think it will change your
I
leadership?
like not to think about it. I lead a pretty normal life, considering it's a dangerous life. I think I handle it as well as it can be handled. I think a lot of other people, you read stories where they become basket cases. To be honest with you, I'm not a basket case. I really take it as it is. I do it for the country. I'm not doing it for any other reason. I have a first lady who's doing a terrific job. She loves the country, and she recognizes it better than anybody. She's told me numerous times. She said, you are in a dangerous job. But that goes along with her, too. I mean, it's dangerous for her, too. We sat there tonight. We heard that noise, and it was either a tray or a bullet. I was hoping it was a tray, but it wasn't. And again, we had some very brave people doing a great job, so we're very proud of them and happy with them. I just want to thank everybody. They will be able to give you all that information as to the names and everything else. I think we released the names already. Most of you would have it, but his name. We appreciate it. I see so many tuxedos and beautiful dresses. It was a little different evening than we thought, but we're going to do it again, and we have a great chairman who we're so proud of, and we have to make it better. We'll make it safer, I guess, right? But we're going to make it even better. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump, can we hear from the first lady about how impactful this was? Can we hear from her about...
Well, honey, would you want to say something?
Okay.
One in the back, sir.
Right. Millions of people across the globe, in fact, are watching you. You demonstrated
courageous leadership, and thank God you're alive, all of us are alive today. What is the message that you want to give to the world that this should change? What corrective measures can we take from here on? So.
Well, all you can do, look, I don't care how many people you have, how good they are. They can be the greatest people. You have the greatest security in history. If you have a whack job who's got a brain, but it's a little bit distorted or a lot distorted, they can make trouble. I would say, Pete, right? You know, they can make trouble. Some of these people are of genius level IQ, and they're nuts. So it can be trouble. So you do absolutely the best. You get the best. We have the best people. Well, look, it was proven tonight. He started running from 50 yards, and he was fast. He was like a blur on tape. He was moving. It was very impressive the way they got him, because a lot of people would be looking and saying, you know, it's like a weird feeling, and they would let him get through, but they didn't let him get through. They drew those guns so fast. They looked like Matt Dillon. They looked like somebody that knew what they were doing. What do we do? But it comes with the territory. And if you want to do a great job, I really believe that. And you take a look at what's happened to some of our greatest presidents, and it doesn't happen to people that don't do anything. And it's not going to deter me from winning the war in Iran. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I really don't think so, based on what we know. But we're going to continue to do a great job. That's all I can do. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad you're okay.
Okay, so that's it for the president.
And that was President Trump live at the...
Okay, so actually, let me get rid of this. Hold on. Okay. All right, so I'm going to say a few closing words. I'm asking you to just stick around for just a few more seconds here. All right. You can go on my social media pages. There's pictures of the shooter right before President Trump walked out. There's a picture of the shooter on the ground with his clothes off, it looks like, with his hands behind his back. There's video footage of him sprinting very fast and trying to blow past security. And the most disturbing one is a photo of him as Teacher of the Year in 2024 in California. You heard me right. So, which makes me think this is exactly one of the main reasons why I do what I do, why I wrote Think Brave. That's not a cheap plug either, because I was part of the solution, and writing that children's book was very important to me. I believe it was divine intervention. And now tonight we have a school teacher teaching children trying to assassinate the President of the United States. None of this, and let me repeat, none of this, what we're witnessing right now, is normal. None of this is normal. I realize my audience is my age, area, up, etc. We've seen it all. We've lived through it. We've seen quite a bit over our time. And what I don't like about everything that's been going on with me reporting the news especially is that we become desensitized to these things, and people are treating it like it's a normal thing. None of this is normal at all. You know, I don't remember covering assassinations of this magnitude. You know, like I said, the last time I can remember is Ronald Reagan back in 80. And people have to take a step back and realize that the young kids today, they're being desensitized, and they're thinking it's kind of a normal thing. Oh, somebody tried to kill a president again. And I've already seen it. I was not on camera. I was just online on X, and the disgusting, once again, it's out there, the disgusting comments about wanting Trump to be assassinated is just mind-blowing to me. So, again, pretty much, I'm going to wrap it up here. There's a few things I want to get posted, okay? I just want to say, once again, none of this is normal. We can blame the mainstream media 100%. I'm going to say something that I most likely would never say on the air, but I'm going to say it. But the mainstream media is to blame. California is to blame. Places like California, because this is where this guy came out of. I can only imagine what the school system is like. That's terrifying. And now you have supposedly a school teacher trying to assassinate the president. I don't know much more about that because this is all very early, but I decided to post that in the picture of the school teacher because it came from credible sources. But with that said, I decided not to put this in a box. It would, because any other time this would be irresponsible of me to say. But this violence, this rhetoric, this massive amount of threats, everything is coming from the left. It is designed that way. I'll say it again. Nothing about this is normal. This is a great brainwashing of magnitude proportions that has been perpetrated on the American people since the moment that man it came down that golden escalator to announce he was running for president back in 2015. Ever since then, it has been a complete brainwashing. I hope and pray that we get things solved the way they need to be solved. And again, time is ticking because we have the midterms coming up. And this country cannot afford, under any circumstances, to get back the House or the presidency. So get out there and vote in November. I don't believe it was from Iran. I said that prior to the president coming on. The president just confirmed what I said. Definitely not from Iran. I don't believe it. It's too sloppy, in my opinion. I know nothing about the shooter. We'll know more by late tonight into tomorrow. But again, I want to thank you guys very much. And that is it. I am done for the night. Let me get to work. I appreciate you very much. Have a good evening, folks.